Morning, everybody.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Good morning on this championship weekend Friday, or as I like to say, a football Friday. And with my co-host out today, I'll give you this one as well. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on championship weekend Friday. Let's go. Yeah, that pause was for real. You know what was supposed to go in there. I'd like to scream it out this morning. What the heck? All right. We're here. 3 football games left. Championship weekend after what has been a sensational both college and pro playoff. All the lead changes in the NFL, historic, and we still have 3 games left. But could we have really any different set of quarterbacks for this game? Now, in Darnold, Stafford, and May, first-round guys. I get it. But you have Stafford, who more than likely will win the MVP. He has won a Super Bowl. He has gone from Detroit to L.A. in a monumental trade and made that trade work. We know for both Detroit fan, but we're talking about L.A. today. And he delivered the Rams a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold, former first-round pick, thrown on a trash heap, picked back up, goes to Minnesota, has an unbelievable year last year. But then in the playoffs and in the regular season at the end, well, it didn't work out so well. One of the teams that didn't work out so well against were the Rams in the playoffs. After the Lions thumped the Vikings to win the division, the Rams took Minnesota out. He'll have his chance for redemption. And then in the AFC, the new kid on the block, Drake May. MVP type season. He's nominated for it. He and Stafford, clearly the 2 favorites to win it. I think Stafford will get it, but you could certainly make a hell of an argument for Drake May with the season that he's had. And then Jared Stidham, a backup, 4 starts. He's 1-3. And with Bo Nix injured and breaking the ankle and out for the game, now Sean Payton, the genius coach, has to rely on the career backup. to lead the Broncos to the Super Bowl. We couldn't have really 4 different guys leading their team, but every team very different. Seattle, Mike McDonald, their head coach, has done an amazing job to take a team after they get rid of Pete Carroll and do what he's done with Seattle in short order. Rebuilding on the fly? Maybe not. Maybe there was more there than we thought. They're without a key player in Charbonnet, their running back, but Kenneth Walker III, well, he's pretty damn good. Smith and Jigba, terrific receiver. That defense, special. And the 12th man, as they like to say in Seattle, how much of an effect will that have? It was interesting. Yesterday, Lee Sterling joined me on the show for a couple of segments. He didn't think that the crowd mattered. I don't know how much it matters. I don't think it will affect Stafford to cause him to not be able to get plays in and not be able to perform at the highest level. But I do think the crowd noise could affect alignment, could cause a false start. You never know. But that Seattle defense, that's been tough. These two teams have played 2 fantastic games this year. Hell, over the last 2 seasons, they're separated in 4 games by 2 points and 10 yards. Ooh, I'm talking over 2 things there. Just realized because I didn't hit all the buttons that, and it's not my fault. I have no idea how we take that off, but I potted it down. So there you go. You were getting a little bit of both right there. Not sure exactly what we got to do to fix it, but we will do our best because once again, hey, to err is human. To really F up, you need a computer. So there you have it. This is what happens when you fly solo. You can't look at all the texts that I'm getting from you folks at 6 a.m. And hell, I thought I did a pretty good open there. Son of a... But the Rams and Seahawks have played 4 games, separated by 2 points and 10 yards. And this 5th game will determine who represents the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think all of us believe that the NFC team that wins will have an edge. Patriots, Seahawks, that could be a different story. Patriots, Broncos, I should say. Because the Patriots now without Knicks are a clear favorite. The biggest road favorite to open in the history of championship weekend. And now they will have a backup quarterback and try to see if Peyton and Stidham can take the unlikely backup quarterback and the Broncos to the Super Bowl. But defensively, they're terrific. While Drake Mays had this incredible season, the Broncos are the number 1 sack team in the league. And Drake May has been suspect in the playoffs. He fumbled the ball a bunch in the game against Houston. Houston couldn't get out of their own way. So now, championship weekend, we will see how this works out. We've got a terrific show lined up for you today. We'll check in with the Patriots. Tim McKone, our guy from the Sports Hub, will join us in the 7 o'clock hour. Pat Kirwan will join us at 8, and David Samson will join us for the first time in quite a while at 9 o'clock this morning. Looking forward to catching up with our old friend David Samson. But it is championship weekend, but the ratings are in. Holy Toledo. Let's start with the NFL. The Texans and Patriots, 38 million viewers. It peaked at just shy of 45 million viewers. It was the most watched event in the history of ESPN. They've been around a while. Now, I know it's the NFL and it's the king above all others, But after Saturday's night game was down, the 49ers Seattle game was down 5%. Sunday, not the case. Rams and Bears, 45.4 million, up 8% from a year ago. It was the most watched game in the history of NBC. They had to go back to 94 when the Oilers and Chiefs did 41 million. That's how long ago it was since NBC had a game quite like that. But the big game, holy cow. Indiana, that story, we were in. The Hoosiers and the Canes, 30-plus million viewers watched the national championship, up 36% from last year's game. 36%. Remember, that was Notre Dame and Ohio State. Not like there's any history with those two. Second highest watched game in the college football playoff history. The only game that beat it was Oregon and Ohio State in the first playoff in 2015. Fourth most watched game in the past 30 years. So whether it was Kirk Cignetti, Mendoza, whatever the case may be, you were out and you were watching. So a big night for the Natty, and my, oh my, did people get in to the college football national championship. Trying to figure out now what the heck we're going to do, because I'll do a little on-air production for you. It is as many of you pointed out to me, and thank you for doing so. We had the radio from ESPN playing both, and it still is. So trying to figure out how to stop that, run a show, produce a show, and get the proper commercials to all run at the same time. If you're noticing we're missing a voice and you missed our show yesterday, David off yesterday, David off today, hoping to have him back on Monday. So we will do our best to get the commercials running right. Like I mentioned, we've got some pretty good guests today. And we'll get into these championship games and get your thoughts. I've already got 2 poll questions up. They're pretty simple. Who's going to win? Who you got? Patriots, Broncos. Who you got? Rams, Seahawks. Miller_Moulton on X. If I can fix everything around here, I'll even repost them at that Mark Miller on X during the break. If, by chance, you don't subscribe to X, then it's really easy. You text the show. The Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, always wide open. 21,000's the number. Keyword is Miller. Thank all of you for letting me know that the national show was on top of our show here in the local market. Those of you on satellite in Tampa, Jacksonville, and other places are going, what the hell is he talking about? Well, we'll fix it. We'll get it right. You can always join the show, youtube.com/Miller and Moulton, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, if you want to watch this live. I'm not sure why, but a lot of you do. The chat room in there, interactive as well. So we'll check in with Tim McKone in Boston, Pat Kirwan, to talk about all the games and the coaching openings that are still there, the coaching vacancies that have been filled. Baltimore filled their job yesterday. Miami had their press conference. Lots of other sports news to get to. We'll do that 25 minutes from now, the starting 5. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com on a Football Friday. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
This is Miller and Moulton.
There was more to it than that, guys. I just turned it down. Trust me, it's fixed now, but I appreciate your help. But you guys saying it works on Twitch doesn't really do me any good. Son of a bitch.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton. I can't say Football Friday and then do Football Friday because I'll get sick of myself. And at that point, I think you will too. I'll figure out how we're going to do that. We'll get through it. David's off today, expecting him back on Monday. He did text me his pick, so we'll get to that next hour. But a quick break from football, a little sidebar. You know, we let you all in quite a bit on our lives. And as many of you listen, you know my daughter does gymnastics. And now this weekend or today, she's at a meet. Because what's more important for an 11-year-old, school or a gymnastics meet? Apparently it's B. And trust me, it's not the wife here. She's as hot about this as I am. I don't understand for the life of me. Youth sports drive me nuts. Anybody who's listening knows this travel sports world we live in it drives me crazy. Parent doesn't like how much time their kid gets. They think their kid's too good for the league. Hey, let's start a travel program. Best thing in the world. But I am getting the benefits of this trip out of town for my wife and daughter, and I love them dearly. And obviously going away here in a week, I'm going to miss them immensely. But very rarely, as a married man with a child, do I have the house to myself at night. Obviously, with this show, I'm done at 10. I'm home all day. I can watch what I want. I did watch the Expos documentary on Netflix yesterday. Don't know how much I'm going to get into it with David Samson, but he's in it a lot, and they don't like him very much up there. But that's for another day. But I realized last night and this morning what it's like to be alone again. And it's not bad. Come on now. I think anybody that knows, I love my wife and my daughter, and obviously my son, but he's grown. I love them immensely. Love picking my daughter up from school. We have great car rides. We have great conversations. I love every bit of it. I am going to miss this more than anything, including this radio show when I'm gone here in a week for a little while. But, you know, I get to run the TVs in the house because of this job. My wife has been such a supportive wife when it comes to what I do for a living. She literally asks me every night, hey, what do you got to watch tonight? And some nights it's nothing, but I want to watch this. And she's like, okay, go ahead. But last night, everybody was gone. And I pretty much did show prep all afternoon, looking up different things, getting the starting five ready, trying to find any tidbits about the game, which I wasn't as successful with as I thought I would be. But just reading different articles, things that are going on, so that I hopefully can deliver the audience an entertaining show today. But it was late last night, that I went, this isn't half bad. Because my wife needs not only silence when she sleeps, but she needs darkness. And I am someone who loves to fall asleep with the television on. I never get to do that. Ever. Not ever. Maybe occasionally on a Friday or Saturday night, but she basically just says, your dumb ass is going to fall asleep on the couch anyhow, so watch your games out there. I'm going to bed. And last night, the team that I root for in the NHL and one of the teams I root for more than any other are the Detroit Red Wings. And they didn't play until 9:30. That's late for a guy that gets up at 4 a.m. Hell, I don't see 10:30 all that much unless it's a football game. So while I'm sitting there on the couch watching Buffalo and Montreal, very entertaining game last night for the record. Very entertaining. This Sabres team's got it going on. They got a little lucky last night because they were outplayed, but it was a little feisty. And I told you yesterday, for whatever reason, this isn't Montreal and Boston, but Buffalo and Montreal, there's a little animosity there, and they're fighting for the third spot in the playoffs. The game had a little juice to it last night. Not bad for a Thursday night January hockey game. But my Wings started at 9:30, and I went, I'll be damned. Not only do I get to watch them, I get to watch them in bed. with the volume on, with no worries of anybody telling me to turn the TV off, with no worries of the TV being turned off while I'm watching. Yes, that's happened. And then I woke up, after the game was over. And the little message from ESPN Plus that says your event has ended was on. And I turned the power off and went back to bed. It was glorious. And then this morning, when I got up, had my coffee, started filling out the scores for the starting five and checking a few other things. I think you all know when we do Today Was a Day When, I love my music. Well, in the morning, I'm up first. Can't make a lot of noise. This morning, could play the music. Had it playing in the shower. Got to listen to a little Stone Temple Pilots loudly at 5 a.m. That's not the norm in my house. So while I miss the wife and the daughter, and they'll be back later today, it's only a one-night thing, I got to enjoy a little bit of that single life that I remember from so long ago. And you know what? I would rather have it this way. Don't get me wrong. But for the TV at night and the music in the morning, not half bad. Not half bad. All right, Tim McKone on the show today. He'll talk some Patriots. Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL. And David Samson will join us as well. So I already have not one, not two, but three poll questions up. Because that's how we roll on a Friday. First off, the two games. Very simple. Who you got? I thought about putting a spread up with the Patriots-Broncos games. I know that the majority of you are picking the Patriots, and damn, we're going to have to live with them being good for a while, I think. I really do. I hope for the Buffalo Bills fans' sake that they make the right choice at coach and that they keep on keeping on. But there seemed to be dysfunction in that press conference that we spent a lot of time talking about yesterday. So I know the majority of you will take New England. And for those of you that, finally were happy that we didn't have to deal with the Patriots every day, well, we're going to have to deal with them for a while. I really think that we are. Mike Vrabel, one of the candidates for Coach of the Year. We'll get to that coming up a bit. All the NFL award nominees. I think it was put out with about 20 minutes left in our show. We didn't get to it, but we'll get to that coming up in a little bit. And then the Rams in Seattle. That one will be more of a toss-up between the audience. For the record, since I already put them out on X, I like both road teams. And that hasn't happened since the 2018 season, 2019 playoffs. And that time it was New England beating Kansas City on the road, 37-31, and the Rams beating New Orleans, 26-23. That's when we ended up with that, 13-3 Super Bowl. When Greg Zuerlein missed the kick, that would have won me, I think, $8,700 in a square pool. Yep, don't remember that game at all. But lastly, having a little fun today with my other poll question, because I have moved in life from my biggest grocery store pet peeve. For years, if you listen to this show, you knew it was the guy that had more than 10 items in the 10 and under lane. It still bothers me, and I still on occasion will count their items for them just to remind them that they have more than 10. But now that we have self-checkout, I can just bypass that line. I know many of you hate the self-checkout. Now you pay the same price, if not more, at some of these grocery stores. In fact, we know more than we ever have before. But now you have to work for yourself to get out. It doesn't bother me. I can do it quickly. No muss, no fuss. I'm out. But then there are two others. The people that don't take their cart back to the proper place and leave it all over the damn place. Or the people who simply pull their cart. It is a push device. The handle is on the back of the cart. You push your cart. The front is the cage. People who pull their cart take up the whole aisle and think far more of themselves than people who are pushing their cart. That's my newest pet peeve in the grocery store. Drives me nuts, and it doesn't matter where you're at. They do it at Walmart. They do it at Aldi. They do it at Publix, and they do it at Costco, and it drives me nuts. Stop it, people. Stop it. Miller and Moulton. You can vote. Miller_Moulton, that Mark Miller on X, or text your thoughts to the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. 21,000 is the number. The starting five. We'll do that next. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. The person who said putting your cart on one side and looking on the other, when you're like, when I'm looking at the condiments, if the cart's in front of where I'm looking, I can't see it. I do, however, if I see someone coming, get the hell out of the way. If that bothers you, I will work on it. Yeah, but Deadstroke, does the look on your face give it away? Because I'll stand there too and just stare daggers at someone. Yeah, there's no doubt. This is This may continue. We'll bring this back up. It's all right. My neighbor ran over my mailbox last night. She texted me and told me that she did. I thought that was very nice of her. My biggest one is people that don't know how to turn. When you make a left turn, you stay on the inside lane. When you make a right turn, you stay on the inside lane. You don't swerve out. And if you need to get in the lane, put your blinker on and move over. Them's the rules. Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for joining us.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Well, that's almost true. Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton. See, it doesn't work. It doesn't work unless I'm Jason David. Sorry, I can't do it. David will be back on Monday, or at least he's expected to be. Tim McKone, Pat Kirwan, David Samson, all coming up on the show. But right now, it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
And the Starting Five is brought to you by Lee County. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. Or is it burritos, salsa, and tamales? I just don't know. All right, let's start in the NFL, don't you say? Pats and Broncos, 3 p.m., CBS tomorrow. Patriots are right now a 4.5-point favorite. 42.5 is your over-under. The late game on Fox, 6:30 or thereabouts. Rams at Seattle. Seattle is a 2.5-point favorite. 46.5 is your over-under. Ravens hire Chargers. DC Jesse Minter for a 5-year deal. He worked for Baltimore from 2017 to 2020. Then he went and worked with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. In fact, while he's been in the NFL because he was Harbaugh's DC with the Chargers, he's only worked under a Harbaugh in the NFL. Fun fact. The Indianapolis Colts say the FBI is investigating the death of their owner, Jim Irsay, and the potential involvement of a California doctor who reportedly prescribed him pain pills and ketamine. Irsay died back in May. The AP announced the finalists for each NFL award. We'll get to all the awards a little bit later, but for MVP, Matt Stafford and Drake May, they're the two front runners. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and Christian McCaffrey also for the MVP. Dolphins held their presser today, and there's a reason why I guess owners don't talk much. Stephen Ross, he's loaded. Does he know who his coach is? Here's Stephen Ross yesterday at the presser.
Enthusiasm, the knowledge, the background. Jeff stood out amongst them all.
There you go, Stephen. Yes, Jeff Hafley, your head coach. Jeff Hafley gave a great talk yesterday, about 7 minutes long, uninterrupted. The end of it, He spoke directly to the fans. Here's what the new Dolphins coach told the Dolphins.
To the fans, this is a storied organization, one of the best in all sports, and you deserve a winner. You guys deserve a winner. And I am going to do everything in my power to bring you guys that. I am so proud to be here, and I cannot wait to get started.
Finally, the new general manager, John Eric Sullivan, was asked about the quarterback position. Guess what? He actually gave an honest answer.
I mean, obviously, that's a huge question looming over the organization. I'd be naive to think that everybody doesn't understand that. I have a lot of respect for Tua. He's a good football player. He's accomplished a lot in this league. I think whether it's Tua or anybody else, it's unfair and irresponsible for me to sit up here and talk about anything specific before I've talked to the player himself. Quarterback is the most important position in professional sports. You know, I also think it's the most dependent. These guys heard me say this in the interview process. We will evaluate that position like we evaluate every other position, and we will do what is best for this football team. With Tua or anybody else, to sit up here today and tell you that I have a great understanding of what we're going to do or which way we're going to go, that would be a lie, because there's just too much work to do. There's too many conversations to be had at this point. A lot of respect for Tua, what he's accomplished in this league. I thought Quinn did a great job at the end of the season. We have to figure that out. We will, but today is not the day I can give you that answer. I understand the question. I just can't give you that answer today.
Honest answer from John Eric Sullivan, the new general manager from the Miami Dolphins. Also, as we talked about yesterday on the show, it was announced Zach Robinson, their new offensive coordinator. NCAA football mentioned in the open. The national championship did a monster number. 30-plus million viewers, up 36% from a year ago. Second highest game in college football playoff history. Oregon and Ohio State in 2015 was the most watched game. It's the fourth most watched game over the last 30 years. Former, Gators signee, never played there, Jalen Rashada, signed with Mississippi State yesterday in the portal. And Sharon Moore appeared in court yesterday. His lawyer, a female, blonde, seems to be his type, is seeking to have charges dismissed. His next court appearance is March the 19th. To the NBA we go. Told you it was big for Orlando, and they laid an egg. Charlotte pounded the Magic 124-97. Charlotte led by 21 at the half, 30 after 3. They had 8 players in double figures. Orlando has lost 2 in a row. They're 7th in the conference. In the first half, Orlando 13 of 40 from the floor, 5 of 19 from 3. That's how you find yourself down 21. Portland whooped up on Miami 127-110. Portland outscored the Heat by 16 in the second half. Jaden Sharp led the way for Portland with 27. Bam had 32 and 10 in the loss. 4th win in a row for Portland, 8 of their last 10. Denver, a 107-95 victory over Washington. Peyton Watson, a career high. He had 35. It's his 4th 30-point game. They've all been this month. Overtime game in Philadelphia, the 76ers top Houston 128-122. Tyrese Maxey had 6 of his 36 in overtime. Joel Embiid, triple-double, 32, 15, and 10. Kevin Durant, 36 points in the loss for Houston. Dallas beat Golden State by 8, 123-115. Najee Marshall tied a season high with 30 as Dallas won their 4th straight. That's a season best for them. Steph had 38 in the loss. He became the first in NBA history to attempt 10,000 three-point shots. You remember Trent yesterday, his big bet, take Minnesota because the Bulls suck. Well, Chicago overcame a 14-point first-half deficit. Cody White had 22, 7 Bulls in double figures as the Bulls topped Minnesota 120-115. Julius Randle had 30 for the T-Wolves in the loss. De'Aaron Fox, 31 on 10 from 13 shooting. Wemby, 26 and 13 plus 5 blocks. San Antonio tops Utah 126-109. Yusuf Nurkic had a triple-double for the Jazz. It's his 2nd consecutive triple-double. The last time a player for the Jazz did that, Pete Maravich in 1975. Clippers beat the Lakers 112-104. Kawhi with 24, his 23rd straight game with at least 20. LeBron had 23. Luka had 32. Clips led by 17 at the half. They've won 7 of 8 and 14 of 17 as they're getting back into the race in the Western Conference. NCAA, off the court, a couple of things. Bill Self intends to be back behind the bench Saturday when Kansas is at Kansas State. Self went to the hospital early this week with chest pains and missed the Jayhawks game at Colorado. A bunch of games, this impending weather nationwide basically is moving college basketball games all over the place. The ACC's already moved a bunch of start times up. UConn women moved start times up. Check your local listings. Scores last night that affect our listening audience. JU lost to Bellarmine 77-70. Penn State lost to Wisconsin, Big Ten game, 98-71. Wisconsin's on a little bit of roll. North Florida beat Eastern Kentucky. Cameron Oriole, 32, had a bucket with 2.2 seconds left as North Florida beat Eastern Kentucky 87-85. FGCU got whooped by Austin Peay by 21. And South Florida, a winner last night over UAB, 82-69. Tomorrow, Rick Pitino will coach for his 900th win. He'll be coaching against his son as St. John's takes on Xavier. Sam Bennett scored the lone goal in regulation. Matthew Tkachuk had an assist for his first point of the season in his second game back. Florida, 4-2 in their last 6, a 2-1 shootout victory over Winnipeg. They're at Minnesota on Saturday. Chicago, in a shootout, defeated Carolina 4-3. Oliver Moore scored the shootout goal in the 6th round to give Chicago the win. He did it on his 21st birthday. Carolina had their 5-game winning streak snapped. Tampa in Chicago tonight. Columbus 1-0 over Dallas. Jet Greaves stopped 28. Zach Werenski scored the lone goal. That's 5 of 6 for Columbus since they fired their coach. Boston jumped out to a 3-0 lead after 1, a 4-0 lead after 2. They scored their first 3 goals in 54 seconds. McAvoy, Lindholm, and Jeannot all scored. Pasternak had his 21st of the season in the second. That's 9 of 11 for the Bruins as they defeat Vegas 4-3. Buffalo 4-2 over Montreal. 17 wins in their last 21 games for the Sabres. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, the goaltender for the Sabres, made 32 saves. Montreal outshot Buffalo 34-17. Buffalo had a 3-0 lead, needed the empty netter to secure the win. Cole Caulfield scored his 26 for Les Habitants. Nashville behind a Steven Stamkos hat trick. 5-3 for the Preds over Ottawa. Pittsburgh scored 3 goals 37 seconds apart in the game's first 3 minutes. Anthony Mantha had the first 2. Sidney Crosby had the third. The fastest 3 goals in Penn's history. Penguins beat Edmonton 6-2. McDavid held pointless in consecutive games now. That's the first time that's happened this season. Minnesota in overtime over Detroit. Kasparov had his second of the game in overtime. Matt Zuccarello scored 2 as well. Quinn Hughes, a couple of assists. Lucas Raymond had 2 goals for the Wings. Detroit had 1, 8 of 9, but with the point, they're tied with Carolina atop the Eastern Conference. Major League Baseball, the Rangers get starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore from the Nats for 5 prospects. Gore was an all-star last year. All 5 players going to the Nets are in the top 30 prospects of the Rangers, including Gavin Feene, who is considered to be Texas's number 2 prospect. PGA, they're at the American Express in La Quinta. Minwoo Lee, Pearson Cody, each 10 under. They lead. Scotty Scheffler, his first tournament of the year. No rust there. Scheffler is among 9 who is a shot off of the lead. Aussie Open, round to 32. Alcaraz, an easy win in straight sets. Medvedev came back from down 2 sets to win in 5. On the women's side, Sabalenka won in straight sets, albeit 7-6, 7-6. And Coco Gauff won in 3 after losing her first set. And that is the starting 5. And it's brought to you by Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. This is what happens when you see the music there. I got it right there. Turned it all the way down. Not almost all the way down. Supposed to run underneath this when I do the segment, but what the hell? We're trying to figure it out here on a football Friday. So there you have the starting five. Lots going on. Hey, most everybody thought the Dolphins press conference was an overwhelming winner. Had to have a little fun with Stephen Ross having a little brain fart and not remembering who his new coach is. It happens to the best of us. You know, we always don't remember the names, but Ross, when announcing all he loved about the coach, couldn't remember Jeff Hafley's name. It happens. It's not as bad as what Pagula did yesterday. Not even close. That thing was just a train wreck in Buffalo. If you've not seen it, Pagula stepping all over the GM, blaming the coach McDermott for the drafting of Keon Coleman, and there's all kinds of video talking about how much he loved the kid. Yesterday was a terrible day for Keon Coleman, former Michigan State receiver that went to Florida State, did very well for the Seminoles. He not only was thrown under the bus by the owner of the team, but then some things surfaced online from him signing his contract in which he asked if he should sign his autograph or sign a different way. The best one, though, was being interviewed, and they had it in the Buffalo room. And the video of his interview, basically, I did love his line. He said he liked golf, and they said, "You golf?" Yeah, I'm Tiger, not so good, or something along that. Tiger, wish I was good, instead of Tiger Woods. But the whole time, Bean's looking at him with this just very peculiar look. Yesterday, not a great day for Keon Coleman, the former first round pick for the Buffalo Bills. If you bought, find a realtor. If you rent, I hope you can get out of your lease soon, because I don't expect you to be in Buffalo next year. AFC and NFC championship weekend ahead. It is what our poll questions are. Just basically who's going to win. Right now, 77+% of you saying the Patriots are going to beat the Broncos. And early voting, 57% taking the Rams. But I opened up a can of worms. I listed my 3 grocery store beefs. 10 and under abuse, the 10 and under line, people in there with a whole shopping cart, people that don't take their cart back to either the store or the cart corral, or the people who pull their carts. And I found out Paula in our chat room is a cart puller. What in the absolute hell? I thought we were close, Paula. I really did. We've got to talk. It is blown up in the chat room. We'll take your comments on that or anything else. 21,000, the text line. Miller and Moulton.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, A-Jappy, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This was coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Pius, they vary by state. I'm not aware of that. When you make a right turn, you turn in the right lane. When you make a left turn, you turn. I don't know of any state. I've never heard that before in my life. That's funny, Johnny Mac. That is really funny. I might too. Hey, Paula. In fact, I'm going to call everybody pulling a cart from this point forward, Paula.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton on a football Friday. David is off. I'm expecting him back on Monday. So you're stuck dealing with me for another day by myself. We will have some guests this morning on the show. Tim McKone works at the Sports Hub. That's the Giant in Boston. We'll talk Patriots, Broncos with him coming up in about 35 minutes. Pat Kirwan for a couple of segments, top of the 8 o'clock hour, to get into both games, the coaching vacancies, and the coaching hires. You know, on that note, most everybody was into the hire that was made by Baltimore. I mean, everybody thought this was kind of a done deal. He didn't even take interviews some places because Jesse Minter, who worked with the Baltimore Ravens before leaving and going to Michigan with Harbaugh, and then he went with Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers, now comes back to Baltimore where he was for 4 years. Saw a post, and this is, you can do with it what you will, but the Ravens lost their game, the last game of the season, to miss the playoffs. Since then, they fired their long-term coach and have hired a new coach. The Browns, who are the dumpster fire that they are, fired Kevin Stefanski, apparently have not even met the Rooney Rule yet in their interview process, while the Ravens already have a new coach. For those of you that don't think ownership matters, I think that's your example right there. Now, sometimes bad owners can make good hires. We will see in Tennessee. Robert Saleh Part 2, does that work? We shall see. But that happened reasonably quickly. The Dolphins have their press conference yesterday. Everything, you know, if you're a Dolphin fan, I'm curious if you're a Dolphin fan, if you didn't like what you saw yesterday, more than anything, because I understand winning the press conference doesn't matter. But yesterday, John Eric Sullivan talked at length, gave a really honest answer when asked about the quarterback. Probably too honest. I mean, the only part of that I think was a little bit off is that he said how good Tua was. I think he said that because he had to. I also think if you listen to what he said, you know that there's a new quarterback coming to Miami. And with his background with Green Bay, is Malik Willis the next quarterback for the Miami Dolphins? I know Chris Perkins thought that when we talked to him earlier this week. So we've had a few hires. We still have a few openings. Cleveland hasn't hired their coach yet. Arizona, yet to hire their coach. The Raiders haven't hired their coach. So there are still vacancies, but people in love with the Minter hiring, you know, the folks that, you know, people like the Saleh hiring. People did not like, nationally, didn't like the Jeff Hafley hiring. I don't know how you can grade that. And obviously Stefanski getting a job with Atlanta and John Harbaugh, that's the home run. So still a bunch of other jobs that are out there. We'll see if more get filled here. I don't expect, maybe something today and tomorrow. They won't do anything on Sunday. And then the following week, you'll see more. Where do the Steelers go? A lot of people want Chris Shula, the D coordinator with the Rams. He has a job to finish. It fits the mold of what Pittsburgh's done. They've been interviewing. They brought a bunch of people in, McCarthy being one. The Bills still have their job. So I would say, you know, the Bills is the best job left, obviously. After that, you know, is it the Raiders? Is it Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh's got some salary cap issues. They've got a lot of money they spend on the defensive side of the ball. They've got tough decisions to make there. They don't have a quarterback either. So still coaching positions, still coaching vacancies to be filled. But Yesterday, the Dolphins announcing Jeff Hafley as their new head coach. He got very emotional in his speech, and they won the press conference to me, but that doesn't matter. How quickly can they turn the team around? That's all that matters if you're a Miami Dolphin fan. And with the cap issues, because more than likely they're going to get rid of Tua. It's going to cost them $50+ million. They'll wait till after June 1st to do it. It'll cost them. They're getting rid of Tyreek Hill. So they've got cap issues, but that doesn't mean the end. I mean, Denver just went through this. It was not too long ago that Russell Wilson was cut by the Broncos, and they were in salary cap hell, or so we thought. Now, just a couple years later, they have an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. Was telling you earlier this morning, we have not had both road teams win since the 2018 season, 2019 playoffs. New England beat Kansas City on the road in a spectacular game, 37-31, and the Rams and Saints, 26-23. Another great game. Man, would we love to see a championship weekend like that. I wonder, we thought, and I don't think it was just David and I, but we thought that New England-Houston game would be low scoring. With all the turnovers, it ended up being an over. So 42.5 is our number in the Patriots-Broncos game. So they're telling you 23-19, basically. That's your final, 42.5. And while Denver's defense has been talked about, I think, all season long, and rightly so, it's a very good defense. But the New England Patriots defense is right there with them. And I wonder how Sean Payton is planning on attacking this game. Because we know that Jarrett Stidham hasn't played all year, hasn't played in a few years, and he'll get his opportunity. But I don't like the Denver running game. Now, there's talk that Dobbins could come back, but how effective is he going to be missing all the time that he's missed? And the Patriots' rushing defense is 6th in the NFL. Yes, Denver's defense is terrific. 4th in yards, 7th in passing yards, 2nd in rushing yards, 3rd in points, 2nd in third down percentage. But listen to New England's numbers. They're 8th in total yards allowed. They're 9th in passing yards. They're 6th in rushing yards and 4th in points. I mean, these two teams defensively, one allows 18.8 points, the other allows 18.3. So where are the key matchups? And one of them, really, to me, is the Denver defensive line. How much pressure are they going to be able to get on May? The stud defensive end for the Broncos is going against a good tackle who struggled against good defensive linemen in this postseason. I mean, he's Will Anderson. I mean, these guys that he's faced are no slouches on the defensive side. But May has been getting pressure. So how is Josh McDaniel and Vrabel going to handle the Denver pass rush? Denver leads the league in sacks. Number 1 in the league in sacks. They blitz 27% of the time. So to me, that's the game within the game. I don't think Denver can score a lot of points, but can New England move the ball? Now, New England was able to take advantage of all of the Houston turnovers and still, didn't score a ton in that game. 28 points, obviously they'd take that. But with all the turnovers that they had, it could have been more. So Drake May had that great first drive and then a defensive touchdown. And May threw one at the end of the first half, probably put the dagger in Houston. If I told you that turnovers were even in New England, Denver, would you think differently about the game? The other side that I've talked about, and David mentioned earlier in the week, Sean Payton loves to throw the football. in their game against the Bills, they had 10 runs by the running backs. 10. Bo Nix ran it 12 times. Some of those were sneaks. I think 5, 6 of them were sneaks. Some were scrambles. So I don't expect as much out of Jarrett Stidham with his legs scrambling. I think we know, and I don't even think, we know Denver's playing against a much better defense in New England than what they faced against Buffalo. Buffalo couldn't stop the run, and yet the Broncos didn't run the ball at all. Now, you've got a quarterback coming in the game who hasn't played all year. You would think they're going to try to run more. But if you're New England, you're going to dare them to run because you think you can stop it basically with your base defense. That front four and the linebacking crew can, if they can do their job against the run, well, then they can put guys back in coverage and take advantage of a quarterback who's, quite frankly, not good. You know, one of the poll questions I was thinking of asking, what would surprise you more? Matthew Stafford playing poorly again or Jarrett Stidham playing great? Which would be a bigger surprise on Sunday? To me, it would be Stidham playing great because I have all the respect in the world for the Seattle defense, and yet Stafford lit them up for 457 the last time that they played. They lost the game, but Stafford was amazing in that game. Don't know if they'll have that same type of success on Sunday against the Seahawks. But they're looking for a lower scoring game in the AFC. In the NFC, we're looking like, similar, basically 24-22 Seattle is what they're telling you. 46.5 is your over-under in that game. So can both road teams win? I'm picking both road teams to win. Hasn't happened in quite a while. It's been 7 years since both road teams have won. Miller and Moulton, we've got 3 poll questions for you today, picking the 2 games, and then my grocery store peeves. People who abuse the 10 and under aisle, not taking your cart back to the area, or people who pull their carts and take up the whole damn aisle, Paula. Miller and Moulton, a Football Friday. We'll head to Boston coming up in 25 minutes. Text line, wide open, 21,000 the number.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family-owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Paula, you know I love you. Can't believe you pull your damn cart, though. You know, there's a handle on the front of the cart. I mean, right? It's plastic. It's usually colored, black, red, whatever the case may be. And it's got a gripper right there. And you push the cart. Got to be honest, Pius, I go to the grocery store a minimum of 2 times a week. I've never had that happen. Not in the last 15 years. I've never seen that. Never. But apparently you take your right turns and swing out 3 lanes too. So this cart pulling thing is a new phenomenon. I'm telling you, I had never seen anybody pull a cart. I don't know if this happened with the Instacart people during COVID. I don't know when this started happening, but this is a relatively new phenomenon.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton. David has the day off. I am expecting him back on Monday when we'll have our, I guess it'll be an overreaction Monday. What are we going to be overreacting to? Let's hope it's not the officials. Because certainly that was part of this past Monday on the whole catch interception play in the Broncos-Bills game. But the NFL or the AP announced the nominees for all the awards yesterday. I briefly went over the MVP in the starting five. By the way, 3 poll questions today. 2 are on the games. 1 is on my 3 biggest grocery store pet peeves. Curious as to which one bothers you the most. Right now, for the record, the not taking the cart back and 10 and under aisle abuse are neck and neck. The cart pullers, apparently that's okay. That's mine. That's my new pet peeve. Trust me, I'm old man on the porch. I get it. But this gentleman says on the text line, the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, people that don't return their cart are the worst kind of people. Publix has a return area every 30 feet. And since you were lazy and too lazy and inconsiderate, someone else has to clean up after you. Your parents raised you wrong, and I hope you break a shoelace today. Wow. All right, back to the NFL. Having a little fun today with that. But back to the NFL. The MVP vote, Stafford and May, we knew would be on it. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and Christian McCaffrey. Now, it's between Stafford and May. I think we all know that. But think about the fact that if we started this season and we told you that Drake May and Trevor Lawrence were going to be finalists for the most valuable player in the league, you would have thrown us off the air for that. If Stafford wins the MVP, by the way, it would be a Super Bowl and an MVP. Is he a Hall of Famer at that point, or does he need to win this week and maybe one more to ensure his spot in Canton? Offensive Player of the Year, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Bijan Robinson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba are the nominees. By all insiders that I've read about, they say it's between the 2 receivers, Puka Nacua and Smith-Njigba from the Seahawks. I think Nacua will win. That's my bet. Defensive Player of the Year, 5 edge rushers. The great Benito from the Broncos is on the list. Aiden Hutchins from the Lions, Micah Parsons, Will Anderson, and the winner, Myles Garrett. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are your 5 nominees. Garrett's going to win the award. He set the single-season sack record. This one, of all of them, is the most obvious. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jackson Dart, Emeka Egbuka from the Bucks, Travion Henderson from the Pats, Ted McMillan from Carolina, and Tyler Schutt from the Saints. Now, the 2 quarterbacks didn't play the full season. They didn't start every game, so you throw them out. I have a funny feeling, and Egbuka had this through 6 weeks. To me, there's no way he wins the award. No way. So I think it's between Henderson and McMillan, and I think the Panthers receiver is going to win it. He had over 1,000 yards. He would be the first receiver to win the award since Garrett Wilson won it in 2022. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Abdullah Carter from the Giants, Amanawari from the Seahawks, James Pierce, and Xavier Watts from the Falcons, and Schlesinger, the linebacker, from the Browns. 3 of them weren't first-round picks. I'm not sure on this one. I really like the edge rusher from the Falcons. Pierce thought he had a great year. Schlesinger had a terrific year for the Browns, but I don't think the Browns will get both defensive awards when it's said and done. Coach of the Year, Liam Cohn, Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, Kyle Shanahan, and Mike Vrabel. This one is hard. I think you could make a case for every single one of these guys. Vrabel had the biggest turnaround. Liam Cohn led the Jags to a division title. Ben Johnson gets the Bears to a division title and back to the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan may have done his best coaching of his career, I think, this year in San Francisco. I think Vrabel's going to get it. I just do. But whoever wins this award is incredibly deserving. And the four who don't win it are all also deserving. Tough year for Coach of the Year. Assistant Coach of the Year. Yes, they have an award for that too. Vic Fangio, 3 defensive coordinators, 2 offensive coordinators. Fangio with the Eagles, Flores with the Vikings, Vance Joseph with the Broncos, Clint Kubiak from the Seahawks, and Josh McDaniels from the Patriots, the 2 offensive coordinators. I love Flores. I think he deserves to be a head coach again in the league. I don't think he wins the award. Simply, that's the worst team of the 5. I don't know how you can give it to him. Fangio, deserving, I don't think he'll get it. Because Vance Joseph's defense, if you're going to pick one defensive coordinator out of here, rather, don't you have to pick Vance Joseph? And then the 2 OCs, Clint Kubiak of Seattle and Josh McDaniels of the Patriots. First year for Kubiak in Seattle, and that offense was pretty damn good. I would vote Clint Kubiak. If Vance Joseph gets it, I wouldn't at all feel badly that I voted for the wrong guy, if you know what I mean. So I think either of those, to me, it's between the 2 of them. Could be wrong, but that's where I go there. And then the comeback player of the year, Aiden Hutchinson, certainly, getting hurt last year and coming back, but the Lions didn't make the playoffs. I don't think so. Stephon Diggs from the Pats, deserving. Trevor Lawrence from the Jags, also deserving with the turnaround they had. Dak Prescott, obviously, the Cowboys' season wasn't good enough to me for Dak to win it. And Christian McCaffrey. He's a finalist for 2 other awards, but he missed 13 games last year. He had 2,126 yards from scrimmage and 17 touchdowns. He got all those rushing yards 3 at a time. But I think Christian McCaffrey is the obvious choice for comeback player of the year. So those are the awards that we'll find out who the winners are Super Bowl week. Most of you, pay most attention to the MVP and then probably the Coach of the Year award. That's the toughest to me. The MVP, I know a great case could be made for Drake May, but at the end of the day, what Stafford did with the number of touchdown passes that he threw and the fact that he did it in that division, I'm going to give Stafford the award for MVP. Do both of them face off against one another in the Super Bowl? That's my pick. I'm going to take the Rams and the points. I'm going to lay the points with the Patriots. I think both road teams win, something that hasn't happened in 7 years. 21,000 is our text line, the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. While you're voting on the grocery store pet peeve a little more highly for the abuse of the 10 and under aisle, those of you that are texting are not happy about people that don't take their carts back. Although this gentleman says, as someone who worked at Publix growing up, I have no issue with people leaving their carts out. Nothing was better than getting out of the store to walk around and waste time gathering carts. Miller and Moulton will head to Boston next, or maybe Denver. I don't know where Tim McKone is. I'm guessing he's still in Boston. Works for the Sports Hub. We'll break down Patriots and Broncos next. Pat Kirwan and 30 minutes to get into all things NFL, and then we'll have a visit with David Samson for the first time in quite a while at the top of the Diamond District Bonus Hour.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7, this is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 233-PLAY-Y.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Empire. Come on, man. Do better. Take the carts back. You could at least, I'll give you credit for owning it. I will, and I used to be that guy. I think and someone actually pointed it out on the text line. There's a YouTube account, and I see it on TikTok. The Cart Narcs. They literally have stickers, magnets rather, that they put on cars, abusing them for not taking their carts back, and the people that get pissed, it's hysterical. I don't have a problem, Sonny, with him playing more in the regular season, but who are you going to lean on in the postseason? Problem is they got to get to the postseason. No one expected this out of Buffalo. No, there is not, Tim. I'm guessing that's some sort of a grocery store. Oh, I got to call my guest. Goodbye.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Well, I wish that were true, but David's got the day off today. He'll be back on Monday. So flying solo on this Football Friday, getting ready for championship weekend. And we'll head to Boston to talk a little Patriots Broncos. Tim McKone works for the Giant, that is the Sports Hub in Boston, and he joins us now on the American Paint Supplies hotline. American Paint Supplies, your one stop for all your coating needs. Tim, good morning. Appreciate you doing this. How are you?
Doing well. Just bracing for about 2 feet of snow over the weekend. Other than that, we're doing all right.
Well, I used to be that guy that tells you how things are, but you've been to spring training. You get the drift down here. Hell, I could talk to you about the damn Bruins for a while, as hot as they've been lately, but we're going to talk football. This game seems obvious. With Nix out and Stidham in, seems like this is an obvious one. How confident are you that it's that obvious?
Pretty confident. I'm pretty confident. And I think the difference for this Patriots team over the last few weeks is the way that the defense has been playing. You know, you look at a guy like Milton Williams, who they've spent over $100 million on in free agency on that defensive line. He was out, put on IR at the end of the season. He has returned. The run game has completely shifted in terms of their ability to stop it with him and Robert Spillane. And so the defense over these first two playoff games has really carried the Patriots, and that is the complete opposite of what took place throughout the regular season when it was Drake May and that offense really carrying the New England Patriots. So, look, Drake May has not played his best football in these first two playoff games, and it wasn't necessarily the decision-making or the throws. It was him taking care of the football. I think if Drake May takes care of the football this week and the defense continues to play the way that it has, it's a really, really tough path for the Broncos. I think there's really one path for the Broncos if you look at them winning this game, and that is Drake May turning the ball over, then capitalizing on short fields and taking advantage of that. Other than that, if Patriots play their best football, I don't think that they're going to lose this game.
All right, I'm going to give you one area that concerns me, and how the Patriots stop it is critical, because Denver gets to the quarterback. They lead the league in sacks, and Benito's a great D-end. You know, Will Campbell, good tackle, but he struggled. Now he's been playing against elite defensive linemen. So to me, that's the matchup, and what Josh McDaniel does, whether it's chipping him, whatever the case may be, how do you stop the Denver pass rush?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, and I go back to what we were just talking about a couple minutes ago, too, with the ball security with Drake May. To your point, Will Campbell, who, again, was hurt at the end of the regular season, has come back for this postseason, and I'm still not 100% sure that he is right now. I think he might be still playing through some stuff, and he has really struggled these first 2 weeks as well with the Chargers, and obviously last week with the Texans, who are on another planet when it comes to their defensive line. And players able to get to Drake May holding onto the football a little too long, and then ultimately getting stripped. I mean, that's really what the Patriots have to prevent in this game. If they can do that, if every possession can end in a kick, whether it's an extra point, a field goal, or a punt, that's the recipe for success for the Patriots. To your point, if the Broncos do have a way and a path to victory, I think it's that. I think it's getting to Drake May and disrupting him. And Will Campbell, and making sure that left side of the offensive line, because don't forget, the guard over there as well, Jared Wilson, another rookie who has struggled over these last couple games, is over there as well. And both of those guys going into Mile High, dealing with that crowd noise as well, is certainly going to be something to watch.
And you can't let them hang around in the fourth quarter. I know it's not Bo Nix, but you certainly want to keep them at arm's length as long as you can. When you look at it from an offensive standpoint, we know, the Patriots have been great this year mixing it up. They're fourth in passing yards, they're sixth in rushing yards, they're second in points. So they can do this multiple ways, and it seems that Josh McDaniels will have to do that again against this defense. When you look at the run, is it Henderson, or do you see it being the combination of Henderson and May's legs getting it done on the ground?
I'll tell you what, Trevion Henderson's come in and as a rookie has had some home run plays where he has broken some monster runs. And I think that's really exciting for fans to watch. But over the last couple of weeks, it's really been Ramondre Stevenson that has taken over and become their most reliable back. He dealt with some fumbling issues at the beginning of the season. He has cleaned that up. Again, I go back to ball security. A Ramondre Stevenson fumble or Drake May fumble is going to spell bad news for the Patriots. But the way that he has been playing over the last few weeks, he's sort of emerged as their go-to back, and they've been doing a really good job of running the football of late, which is not something that they exactly excelled at to begin the regular season. That sort of shifted. So I think you're going to see a lot of Ramondre Stevenson. And to your point, this offense has been really diversified. They don't have your typical go-to guy. Obviously, Stephon Diggs had a big season, but it's also been Kayshon Boutte. You also seen Hunter Henry throughout the season as well be one of Drake May's favorite targets. And I think that's one of the things that's really allowed this offense to be successful, despite the fact that they might not have those big-time brand names on the offense. The way that they've been able to sort of do it with a bunch of different people and diversify this whole thing has allowed them to excel.
Is Stevenson, and I would guess he's been in the league longer, the better blocker? And is that part of the reason you think he may get more snaps in this game?
100%. 100%. And it's interesting, too, because Trevion Henderson came into the league, and one of the strengths and one of the reasons they were really attracted to him was because of the pass blocking that he showed at Ohio State. He struggled with that, actually, believe it or not, at the beginning of the season. It's come along a little bit as the season has progressed because, again, one of the strengths of this team, and for a team that's been, you look at it and you go, man, there's not really a lot of postseason success on this roster. The coaching staff, you mentioned Josh McDaniels. These are a lot of coaches that have been there and done that in the past. And they've gotten Trevion Henderson to a point where he is passable when it comes to a pass blocker, but certainly Ramondre Stevenson's on another level. And to your point, in this game, when that's going to be so important, I think you're going to see a lot of Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield.
Talking AFC Championship game with Tim McKone from the Sports Hub in Boston. You can follow him on X at Tim_McKone, McKone, joining us on the American Paint Supply Hotline here on Miller and Moulton. Look at you Patriot fans know about Stidham. I know he didn't do it there, but he can be accurate, and I like the Broncos receivers. So talk about the matchup defensively. Both Mims has played really good. Sutton's an underrated number one. They can get open where the Patriots are middle of the road sack team. So is it more blitzing? Is it just daring Stidham to throw it and stop the run? When you look at that side of the ball, what do the Patriots need to do to be most effective?
Yeah, they've really gotten to the quarterback these last two games. To your point, it's not something that they excelled at during the regular season, but over the last two games, this pass rush, and certainly they have blitzed, and they blitzed the heck out of Justin Herbert in that game against the Chargers in the wild card round. but it's something that's really come along the last couple of games. The reason for that, though, the Texans' offensive line really banged up. The Chargers' offensive line, as we all know, really banged up. They were able to take advantage of both of those units. This is going to be a different beast when it comes to Denver because that offensive line is in a much better situation than those previous two. So that's going to be certainly something to watch. I would expect some blitzing, trying to confuse Jarrett Stidham as much as possible. The good news for the Patriots in the secondary, and it was something to watch, Carlton Davis was in concussion protocol. He has participated in practice over the last couple of games. I think he's going to be good to go for this game. So you're going to have your top two corners in Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis back. Look, Christian Gonzalez, one of the best corners in the league. Carlton Davis had 2 interceptions last game, but it's always been sort of a mixed bag. Very physical corner, and it's a guy that's going to get called for some penalties as well. So you saw at the end of that Broncos game where Bo Nix is throwing it up, and they're getting those pass interference calls in that final drive. Something to watch when you look at Carlton Davis here moving forward as well.
All right, the linebacker Landry listed as questionable. The center from an illness, Bradbury, questionable. Any worries on the injury front for the Pats?
No, the one thing to keep an eye on, and Harold Landry's a guy that hurt his knee at the beginning of the season. They've been managing him, so I would expect him to play. I think it's just a veteran that Mike Vrabel's looking out for. And again, that's something that Vrabel, one of the strengths that we didn't really anticipate coming in is just him sort of having a feel for these veteran players on his roster and when to kind of give them a day off and how to manage some of those injuries. So not concerned about Landry. When it comes to Bradbury, I'd expect him to play as well. A big piece of this offense throughout the whole regular season was Matt Collins, big, physical, tough receiver, not necessarily known for his pass catching coming into this year, but Drake May really leaned on him heavily, the 6'4", big body receiver that was really involved. He got hurt at the end of the season, went on to IR. He was eligible to return this week. He did not practice on Wednesday, but was limited yesterday. So we'll see whether or not Matt Collins actually returns, because if he can play in this game, that's just another weapon and another layer for Josh McDaniels and Drake May.
You know, the rest of us are getting sick of you guys. You were supposed to take a break from this. You're a game away from the Super Bowl. I'm still waiting for the Bruins to fall back. They don't seem to ever lose. And the damn Celtics, without their best player, are killing it. I mean, enough is enough already, Tim.
I'll tell you what, there isn't one person in New England, and I was more bullish on the Patriots coming into this year than anybody, I think, up here, but there isn't a person in New England that thought that the New England Patriots would be in the position that they're in right now. And obviously the top two reasons for that, Drake May really emerging as an MVP candidate. But, I mean, the jump that he made from last year where it looked like, you know what, you drafted a quarterback that has some raw talent. Is it going to translate? To him kind of putting it all together is remarkable. And a lot of that goes, again, to the coaching staff with Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. They turn this roster over. They turn the culture over. And it's just a completely different feel than what we've had over the last, quite honestly, 5 years in New England with this football team. And it's a different feeling team than even those peak Bill Belichick. This is a team that likes to have fun. They are not shy when it comes to kind of telling you how they feel as well. So it's not just, hey, the Patriots are back. It's really a 2.0 version of the Patriots, and the way that they handle their business is completely different than what you saw under Bill Belichick.
And I think to your point earlier is that, you know, Diggs is having a great year, nominated for Comeback Player of the Year. May obviously nominated for MVP, but it's in the Patriots. I don't know if ever been star driven. There have been some great players on the defense, and obviously we all know about Brady. But this team, it's not necessarily no names, but it's a lot of unsung heroes, isn't it?
It is, and you know what's fascinating about the way that they put this roster together? And look, a lot of the free agents they brought in, all of them had ties to the coaching staff, whether it was Josh McDaniels bringing in a guy like Matt Collins, or whether it was Carlton Davis coming from the Lions and his connection to the coaching staff. Robert Spillane, same thing, having those connections with Josh McDaniels in Las Vegas. You can kind of tie all of these players that they brought in to the coaching staff, so they weren't unknown pieces. But I go back to 2021 with Bill Belichick, and they went on an absolute spending spree in free agency, and half of them were hits, and half of them were complete whiffs. And you go back and you look at this offseason, and pretty much every free agent that this team brought in has been a contributor, and I just think that is so rare. It's usually not a great recipe to go into free agency and try to build your roster through that one avenue. They did that this year, and it's been wildly effective, and that's a big reason that they're here.
No doubt, but it wasn't big money free agents, which I think makes it different, and a great point by them all having ties to the coaching staff. Listen, enjoy Sunday. I know you're heading to the Super Bowl for your sake. I hope it's to root on your Patriots. Tim, thanks so much for giving us a little time this morning.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Tim McKone, 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one stop for all of your coating needs. Well, 3 poll questions up today. 2/3 of you early on are taking the Patriots. The Seattle Ram game, a little more 50-50 with 51% of the vote going to Seattle. And not taking the cart back has overtaken the 10 and under aisle abusers at your grocery store. I should say my grocery store pet peeves. The other one, people who pull their cart. Apparently, I'm the only one that bothers. 7% of the vote. That Mark Miller, Miller_Moulton on X. You can always text your answers or your replies, if you will, to 21,000, the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. Pelican Roofing of Florida, 1-866-9-PELICAN. 1-866-9-PELICAN. Commercial, residential, statewide. Pelican Roofing of Florida, proud sponsor of the Miller and Moulton text line. As I've mentioned earlier in the show, 2018 season, 2019 playoffs, the last time that both road teams won. And it's the 2 road teams this year. The Rams did it to New Orleans, 26-23, and New England beat Kansas City. Will we get a rematch of that Super Bowl? I'm dumb enough to take both road teams, even though home teams are 10-2 straight up in the last 6 years. So make your picks accordingly. The Patriots, the largest road favorite of a championship game since 2012, when the Niners were a 4.5-point favorite. The Niners won. They won by 4. That's a win, but not a cover. Seattle, a 2.5-point favorite against the Rams. 3 and 6:30 on Sunday. 3 of these suckers left. The playoffs have been unbelievable so far. Will it continue on championship weekend? Pat Kirwan to join us on the other side. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
Lee
sound.
County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332516.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Mark.
How are you?
Man. I got your note. Well, so here's my morning. I was up at 5:30. I had to work on some Senior Bowl stuff that I had to turn in. Then I got dressed, came over. I hit 100 golf balls. Now
Look at you.
Now I'm going to do the show. Then I'm going to play 18 holes with my friends and go to Denver.
Oh, wow. Are you playing with all your Buffalo guys today?
2 of them.
How happy how happy were they with the firing? Because every Buffalo person I know was very pleased about McDermott being fired.
Yeah, and I warned them all. I said, you all made the assumption anyone can get to the playoffs, and you faulted Sean for not getting to the Super Bowl. You're going back to zero here. If you think just making the playoffs is an automatic, get ready.
I got to tell you, Pat, you said it a long time ago, that coaches interview owners and all that. Now, look, Stephen Ross just had a brain cramp, but I mean, between Pagula just looking like an ass.
Hold on, Mark, 1 second.
Okay.
All right, so I already warmed up. Okay. And I get off at about 8:28 or something. I'll come right out. Okay.
So between Pagula looking like a horse's ass in that press conference, and then Stephen Ross not remembering his coach's name during his press conference, how do these guys make all their damn money? I'm just kidding. They're worth billions of dollars. It's amazing.
They made it when they were younger, and they are buffoons, really. And their entitlement, their egos can't permit them to see that they're wrong sometimes. And I thought the press conference in Buffalo was an exposure of, and I'm friends with Brandon Beane, but Brandon, he can't hide from being part of this disaster.
Well, I mean, when the video's out, like I played it yesterday. I played Pagula interrupting Beane about the Keon Coleman draft, and then right after that, I played Coleman, who said, when I went to bed, it was Coleman unless something happened. It's like,
there's plenty of sound of Brandon endorsing it, and I've got plenty of my sitting with Brandon Beane and him telling me how much he liked him. And I go, and I think that's why Brandon called me yesterday. He goes, "Hey, how's everything going?" I said, "Great. How are you doing?" He just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to play all those audios. I've interviewed him maybe 15 times, and we have all of it. And I wouldn't do it to him. I like him too much, but he ought to be honest about what's going on. And
so what do we have? I want to make sure we had 5 jobs left, right? Browns, Raiders, Cardinals, Steelers, Bills.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, how's his back?
Well, that's an unknown. We got the Twitch audience listening, but he's fine. He'll be fine.
Great.
He'll be back Monday from what he says. I've joked around yesterday. I said, if I was David, I wouldn't come back until Friday. Make me do the final 4 shows by myself. I'm taking off on him for a month, for crying out loud.
Yeah, well, I told him, and I'll tell you the same thing. If you need more of me to get through, just call.
Thank you.
If you say, how about an hour tomorrow? Or how about every day this week for half an hour? Whatever. I don't care.
And it was funny. I had to have a MRI done on my heart to get ready for this thing. And I'm talking to the cardiologist with the report, and he asked what I did for a living. And I told him this. And he goes, "You going to do it from the hospital?" I said, "If I can." He goes, "That'd be great." I'm like, so I got one endorsement that I can work from the hospital. We'll see.
Yes, of course you can.
As long as I'm not bothering anybody there and I feel up to it, I plan on doing a segment, here and there when I feel up to it.
Yeah, and I think it's inspirational to others. They'll all be talking about you're in there doing it. The doctors are going to want to sit in there and listen.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Well, David has the day off today. I'm expecting him back on Monday, but it is a football Friday. And you know what that means at 8 a.m. every Friday during the football season, hell, most of the offseason as well. That's when Pat Kirwan joins us. Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS NFL Today show. He is heading to Denver later today to get ready for the AFC Championship, 3 o'clock Sunday on CBS. Good morning, Pat. How are you?
Good morning, Mark. You sound like you're ready for the playoffs and the postseason and the whole thing. So, we've been spoiled, I think, with some great games in the last 2 weeks. A lot of lead change games, and we're down to these final 2 games. I don't know. I kind of feel like the best 4 teams made it. How about you?
I do. I wish Knicks were playing. I mean, obviously, you want every team to be at their best for these games. Stidham 1-3 as a starter, but Pat, things you already know. Last 6 years, home teams 10-2 straight up in these games. The last time that both road teams won, the 2018 season, the 2019 playoffs. And ironically, it was the Patriots winning in Kansas City and the Rams winning in New Orleans. Let me start with this question. Which would surprise you more? Matt Stafford playing poorly or Jarrett Stidham playing great?
Stafford playing poorly. I think he has to play well, and he will. But if he didn't, he's the senior statesman on this final round here. I would be surprised and disappointed if he played poorly. I think Stidham, the people think they're going to try to protect him. They're not, because go back and look at the 2 games when he did play. For a couple of things, he gave him $7 million a year with intentions. If I need to play you, I have no problem playing you. I would be shocked if they don't throw the ball at least 35 times in this game. And I don't know if Stidham's good for that or not, but that's what they're going to do with him. And their line can block. And you go back and look at some of these things with Stidham. In the 2 games he did play for the Broncos under Sean, he was not sacked in 66 pass plays. So this line can handle protecting him. And Sean Payton likes to throw the ball. He's a quarterback himself, and he led the National Football League in pass attempts. They were averaging 40 pass play calls a game, and they're not going to change from what they do. But I'd be surprised if Stafford played poorly.
All right. In the AFC Championship game, do you see, because New England has been able to get to the quarterback, but we had a mash unit for a line with the Chargers, and C.J. Stroud was just lousy in both playoff games. So when it comes to this game, the Patriots on the season, they were 15th in sacks. They had 35 sacks on the year, nothing special. How much are they going to have to blitz, or how much will they blitz if you're right about how much Denver's going to throw the ball?
Well, I don't think they're going to let Stidham be comfortable. And there's plenty of guys in New England that know Stidham. He started as a Patriot. Unlike the last couple of weeks, I don't think the front 4 can get to the quarterback. So I do think there'll be pressure calls. And I think they're going to go after him, and they're going to find out if he can diagnose where the calls are coming from. And some of it will be on the center to declare, those things. But I think that they're going to find out if the quarterback can handle it. And they're not afraid of his escape skills. This is not Bo Nix, who can take off and look like a running back. This is a guy, when he did play for these guys, he didn't run the ball very well. So, and he also, not in Denver, but in his other 2 starts, the guy was sacked a lot of times. So they know that. They know why they didn't keep him. So I'm with you on some pressure calls. I'm not afraid to pressure a quarterback who's played 4 games in his life. I'd be afraid to pressure Stafford in the other game. That guy's seen it all.
There's no doubt there. And just a little hope for you Bronco fans out there. The Patriots 0-4 lifetime postseason in Denver. Denver's won 5 of the 6 playoff meetings between the two, and they've won both championship games that they've played against the Patriots, including in 2015 when they won 20-18. So history on the side of the Broncos. I don't think it's going to go that way. But, Pat, you love the offensive line. You love the matchups. Denver sacks the quarterback more than anybody in the league. Will Campbell's not been great in this postseason since coming back from injury. Do you see that being the pressure point for Denver to get at Drake May?
Their film study is going to tell them our front four can get there. Moses on the other side, they get after him too. But Campbell, they've already tried to chip with a back, and it was a disaster last week. And a lot of tackles don't like the chip block because inevitably either the back misses or he steers them in a way that the pass rusher wins. I think you'll see a tight end over there and maybe the extra lineman over there to help Campbell. Campbell was, if you saw the end of the game when they were walking to the locker room, Campbell had his head down and I know Campbell enough to know he's a very prideful guy. He knew he played terrible and it was bothering him. So they're going to have to put the extra tackle right next to him to handle those rushes, however they want to set them up with Benito and Cooper.
You know, Pat, I've had a rental car for about a week, so I've not been able to listen to as much of the show. But I did hear you talk last week, and the one thing that I think is ironic, and we just talked with Tim McKone from 98.5 in Boston, and he brought it up. Pat, the New England Patriots went and signed a bunch of free agents. No big money guys, no big name guys, if you will. But for a team that, we talk about free agents and trying to buy a team, and it usually doesn't work. The Patriots were fantastic with their additions in free agency.
Absolutely. So I've done a breakdown of the cap charges. I'll get to that in a minute. But for the listeners, Stephon Diggs was the risk taker. That was the one that said something different about Mike, because a lot of guys were getting hands off with Stephon Diggs, but he's gotten a lot out of Diggs. The catch for the touchdown last week was phenomenal. But Bradbury, Minnesota didn't want him. The guy is still playing, and Minnesota is not. Morgan Moses is a guy that can handle the job, but he's not great. But all those defensive guys, here's the beauty of all the guys that they've brought in between Milton Williams and Tonga and Harold Landry and Spillane and Ellis and Chason. Chason was going nowhere in his life. Look at him now. Carlton Davis has become a key figure for him. And even, some of the other guys that he's got special teamers and everything else. Here's 2 things I'd say. One, I tried to do this at the Jets, and we got plenty of guys on our campus. The problem was we couldn't build a team. They felt like rentals. They acted like rentals. They didn't really have an allegiance to us. It was our fault, not theirs. We were part of you can't buy a championship. Washington tried it, couldn't do it. The only ones who've done it are the Rams. But Mike has done a great job of building this into a team. Coach Carroll went up and spent all day Thursday with them. Practice, lunch in the cafeteria, the whole shooting match. And he goes, you'd never know there's guys here from all those other teams. They act like Patriots. They think like Patriots. So I give them that credit. Here's the best part, Mark. You love the numbers. Most of these guys I just mentioned are coming back next year. And if you look at those 3 on offense and about 7 of those guys on defense, total, they're going to take up 47% of the cap. And they're going to land up with a repeat of about 12 starters. They not only did it right and got guys and fixed and made a team out of it, they got contracts on them right now that are pretty good for the club.
By the way, Vrabel going to win Coach of the Year? I mean, the nominees are all great, Pat. You could make a case for every single one of the 5. Of all the categories of the awards, to me, the only one you could make a case for everybody is the coaches. I think Vrabel gets it. Do you?
I do. I think he deserves it. Some guys have, the votes go in early and all that business. I've always wondered why we don't count the postseason. And they go, well, not everyone's involved. You say, I know, but the good ones are still involved. I think Mike's done, as I just described, building a team. Now, the guys who don't want Mike think he bought this thing in the sense of all these veterans. And I get the cynicism of that, but they've never tried to build one and realize how hard it is. I think Mike deserves it. If he wins today, it'd be a shame if he's not getting that award.
Jeff Hafley, the new coach in Miami, John Eric Sullivan, the GM, just your thoughts on those two. I know it's a first-year guy, and winning the press conference means nothing. It absolutely doesn't. I thought Sullivan was very honest when he addressed the quarterback position, although I don't really believe all he said about Tua. But all in all, your thoughts on the combination, the Green Bay South, if you will, for the Miami Dolphins?
Well, there's a lot of sensibility. There's a style in Green Bay. They are tuned into it. They're going to attempt to do it again here. My recommendation is every place is different, but I get where the stability is going to come from. They're not going to have a lot of meetings of getting to know you, which happens in a lot of places where, man, I didn't realize you were like this. And it happens like right before the draft, right before free agency. They'll know exactly how they're going to talk to each other. So I don't think there's going to be many problems. But I think Hafley should walk around with a name tag on in case the owner has to meet him again. So
no doubt there.
Yeah, it's not the only time I saw. Sir Al Davis did not know the name of the coach he hired when he fired Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
He did not remember the name of the head coach that he just hired.
Great pull. You're absolutely, I remember that. Jesse Minter gets the job in the Ravens. I think everybody kind of saw that coming. He's only worked for Harbaugh's in the NFL. He worked for John for the Ravens, went to Michigan, and followed Jim to the Chargers. Your thoughts on the Baltimore hire?
Yeah, I think that's the right. First of all, I would have never fired John, but it's the right choice if you're going to do it. They know him, and he knows Baltimore, and there's not going to be a lot of downtime explaining the culture of the Baltimore Ravens, which for the owners is very important. They are not here to change their culture. They just want to take another shot. They remind me a little bit too much, though, of Buffalo, in that they think it's a given we're a playoff team. Then it's who's going to get us over the top. Back to the beginning here and managing. Now he knows Lamar. He's had practice against Lamar. He understands who he is. I don't think the job is perfect, but it's one of the best jobs available. They'll do fine, and they'll be up and running right away.
And finally, the Bucs yesterday hire Zach Robinson as their OC. Did good 2 years ago in Atlanta. This year, I love what he did with Bijan Robinson. I liked the receiver they had there, but the offense didn't really click. What will make this work for him in Tampa?
Well, the head coach has had 5 straight years of a new offensive coordinator. So the head coach knows how to get the guys ready. 2 of them went out and got head coaching jobs off a year or two with the Bucs. So I think it's a good head coach to work for. It's really, this offense is run. They got a lot of quality veterans in the receiver corps. They got a quarterback that's a tough guy. The quarterback will see right through any kind of phony stuff, and he might even call you out on it. So I love the guys on the group. The offensive line can stay healthy. That's always a big if. They'll be fine, and it's almost like the new coordinator shouldn't screw it up.
And they did work together briefly in L.A. when Baker spent a few weeks with the Rams. We'll talk about the Rams in Seattle next with Pat Kirwan on Miller and Moulton. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
When are you heading? Are you leaving today and then you're gone?
Yeah, when I go to Denver. Now it looks like we have to stay over in Denver Sunday night. Monday we're flying to Mobile. Then I'm in Mobile from Monday to Sunday. And then Sunday morning I'm flying to San Francisco. And I'll be in San Francisco from Sunday to Friday night. And then I'm going to take the red eye back down because we don't have the game at CBS. It's not our game. And I can do the post-game show from home on Sunday after the game's over. So I'm not hanging around San Francisco.
All right, that offer for the Blades ticket still exists, and do I need to come see you this morning? Oh, you're playing golf.
Hold on. Yes, I'll get all the tickets out, and there's no rush. I'll hook it up with you and Janet, so you can come whenever you want.
Okay. All right.
If you want to come this afternoon,
I'm playing golf today too.
Well, there you go. So I will get all the tickets out and give them to Janet, and I'll just text you her phone number, and then you can come over and get them when you want.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
I'll get John some too because I know he loves those games. But I told you, my daughter loves it. She loves going to hockey games. Loves it. Now wants to see the fights, but I can't get her to watch it. To get her to sit down with me for a football game, there's nothing she'd rather do less. But a hockey game, she'll watch those on TV and she'll go to them because there's a potential for a fight. Unbelievable.
And I love our seats for two reasons. One, there's a glass shield, so you're not hit with a puck.
Yep.
But number two, they're shooting at our end twice to two periods.
Those seats are awesome. They're a good spot to watch the game from. Like you said, you got the Blades twice. You've got the aisle right there so you can get out quickly. The bathroom. I mean, first off, there's not a bad seat in that building, but those are great seats.
I love watching the play right in front of the goal, and it typically is where a lot of good fights do start.
Yeah. And if there's any shenanigans, I like watching the people give the visiting team a hard time when they get thrown out.
I'll be done. Are we playing on the back? Yes, great. Just one milk is great. One cream. Yeah, sorry. Hey, guys.
How is West Bay these days? I'm guessing Corson's in great shape right now.
It's phenomenal right now. You know what? It did not get a lot of play in December. People left here and went home and all that nonsense. It was the few times I played, it was empty. Now it's starting to fill up again, but the course really got a chance to take a deep breath. The fairways are phenomenal.
I do love that golf course. I'm not been lucky enough as a lot of people to play all these courses down here, but I played West Bay a lot because I used to know everybody in the cart barn. Still know a few guys there, and I know your pro a little bit. He's a good guy, so they've always been good to me, and that's a great. I like you though. We talked about it. Never understood why they switched the damn nines. Never understood it.
Nope. They like to tell you it's because a little place to grab a drink is at the turn then. And the way it was set up, it was at the front. But I go, that doesn't matter to anybody. You had to go past it when you're going to the other nine anyway. So, but anyway, who knows?
I think it's because members complained that it was too hard to finish. I may be wrong, but I've always thought that. And I thought it was the best 3 finishing holes of any course I played down here.
I 100% agree with that. And 10, which used to be 1, it kind of like puts 4 holes in a row. It's not as good as the 3 in the back there, but it's not an easy hole. So you're really subjected to 4 hard ones in a row.
Yep. Yep, like we at our place, we've got two of the three. 16's a good hole, 18's a great hole, but 17's it's the easiest par 3 on the course, which is fine. But I mean, 17 at West Bay, that or the old now 8, that's a 190-yard par 3 for crying out loud.
Yeah, I typically if the pin's down below towards the water, I don't even go for the green. I go right for just before the sand trap, and I got a nice easy shot. I can par the hole most of the time there.
All right, fair.
All the other guys, because if you remember, the wall is cut out, and they inevitably hit the ball right.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Well, David has the day off today on a Football Friday. I expect him back on Monday. I'll give you his picks coming up in a few minutes. He did text them to me yesterday. For the record, I've already said it. I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking the Patriots. I'm the dummy that's taking both road teams. Pat Kirwan joins us for his second segment. Pat's weekly visits brought to you by Pinchers, from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. All right, Pat, Seattle and the Rams, they played twice. A 2-point game and a thriller in overtime. They've played 4 games in the last 2 seasons. Rams 109, Seattle 107. The Rams have 1,599 yards. Seattle has 1,589 yards. Safe to say this is a pretty even game. Darnold, however, has thrown 6 interceptions in the 2 games. He was able to get over game 2 when he had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. In the first one, he turned it over 4 times, and the Rams won 21-19. Both of these teams, as I was doing my research, they both have 47 sacks, but the Rams don't blitz. They're the second lowest blitz rate team in the league. I know you know all these things, Pat. I'm giving them to our audience. But because of that, I think that's an advantage to try to get Darnold to pick the ball off. Am I on base there?
Yeah, well, Darnold threw the ball 78 times in the 2 games this year. So they're not afraid to let him throw. But those 6 interceptions and 4 sacks, I think the only way the Rams can win, and it's not hard, but you have to force the game to Darnold. What does that mean? You have to score early on offense, and then you have to stop Walker in the run game. If you do those things by halftime, you're going to force this game into Darnold's lap, and that's where the mistakes come for Darnold. And this has been going on since USC. So you keep talking about those interceptions, and they keep reminding themselves of the interceptions and the sacks. They're going to take that plan of attack with them, because that's the only way they're going to beat Seattle. Now, a couple things which are troubling to Seattle. And you're a Ram guy. So Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Uchenna, that's their front 4. They have 0 sacks against the Rams in 2025. They did not get to them. So they might have to bring extra heat themselves. And I don't like bringing pressure against Stafford. He's too smart. He'll see it, and he'll burn you. So I don't know how they're going to get to him. I did look at Darnold, because everything points to force it to Darnold. I looked at Darnold against the 9 games they had against playoff teams. Those are the teams that made this postseason. He had to play 9 of them. By the way, they were 7-2, but in the 9 games, not good. 17 sacks, that's 2 a game, 10 interceptions, and 5 fumbles lost. So he has not risen up in general against the good teams. And he's a liability. I know Mike is going to try to do this without. Last week, he only threw 17 times. I asked Mike, I said, how do you throw 17 times and get 41 points? He goes, well, we didn't plan for that, but it kind of happened. He's going to need help from his special teams like he's had before. How about that trade from the Saints? Woo! Know what a returner that guy is. But so I just broke the guys down. Stafford wins the quarterback battle. 5 touchdowns against these guys. No interceptions, no sacks in the 2 games this year. Walker wins the running battle, but it's not that far off, except he did rush for over 6 yards a carry. I am excited for one thing with Walker, and I love Charbonnet, but Walker's never had a 20-carry game this year. And I asked Mike, I said, Mike, you're going to have to feed him the ball. And he goes, and we are prepared to. So Walker's going to get his first 20 carry game, maybe 25 carries. And at 6.2 yards a carry in the 2 games so far, Walker becomes the linchpin to success or failure. If he can't get going, they have to turn to the passing game, and that's when they get after Darnold. So,
well,
I'm
a Michigan State guy, so I watched Walker run it 30 times in college. It didn't bother him then, so I think he can handle the workload. But the only thing I would say to counter that, and you're right, in the 2 games against Seattle, against the Rams, rather, he had 57 yards in one, and I think right at 100 in the other. But in both games, in the 100-yard game, I believe it was a 55-yard run. In the other game, even though he only had 57, he still had a 24-yard run. So he's able to break off a big run. Is it more important for Walker to have several good runs, or is the big breakaway run key for Seattle?
Well, I hate to answer the question with a lousy answer, but they need both. If you're not going to throw chunk passes, you're going to need a couple of chunk runs. Otherwise, you're talking about having 12-play drives to score. And that's where all the mistakes always come in. It's hard in this league to be able to generate 12 straight plays without a physical or mental error. So I think you need both, but I'll say this. Walker's a better receiver than Pete Carroll used to tell me all the time, because Walker's a really good receiver. Excuse me. He had 6 receptions against the Rams for 108 yards. So I think the safe passing game will be to throw to him. The check down game. If you can get Darnold to not be crazy when he has to leave the pocket and look for the check down instead of scrambling around, because when he starts running around, that's when the interceptions really start to happen.
This is the 35th time that the number 1 scoring defense has taken on the number 1 scoring offense in the playoffs. 17-17. So that's a complete toss-up. But it's the 21st time that a conference championship game's been between division rivals. The home teams won 15 times. So advantage Seattle there. Hey, look, we all know what Stafford can do, and he was not good in the last game. But with Puka Nacua seemingly unguardable and a great red zone weapon in Adams, when you look at the Rams in their passing game, is it Seattle with the pass rush? You don't want them to blitz, and that you talked about their lack of sacks. So how do they slow down Stafford? I mean, in that loss, he threw for 457, Pat.
I know. Well, my answer is, if you haven't gotten a sack from your front 4, and you can't blitz all the time against them, I don't have a problem with Seattle running a 3-man rush and getting the rest of the guys in coverage. Now you can double Puka, you can double Devontae, and you have people. Stafford's not going to run. That's not his game. It never was. He's 2 carries for 6 yards against Seattle. Their 3-man rush, it will be as effective as their 4-man rush. You're just trying to get his clock sped up so he's got to get rid of the ball. But I saw Lou Anarumo do this to Mahomes. Second half of the championship game when they beat him, he went to a 3-man rush. And I asked him, he said, Louis, why? And he goes, because we couldn't get to him. The 3-man rush was just enough to contain him and force him to get rid of the ball. I think this is the perfect time for Seattle to give us about, maybe it's the 3rd down plays, 3rd and more than 5, 3-man rush. Let Stafford keep looking around. He's not going to run, and get extra people in coverage.
All right, the run game for the Rams, not very, Kirwan Williams had a pretty good game, 87 yards, average 4 a carry. Corum didn't do much. Is it a 2-headed monster, or is Williams the guy and has to be the guy? Because if they're able to run, then what you're talking about with rushing 3 can't work.
Well, I'm not worried about the run game when it's 3rd and 5 personally, but maybe they run. I don't care. I'm not giving them the chunk play. Puka against Seattle has 24 targets this year, 19 receptions, 300 yards, 15.7 a catch. I'm not giving you that. I'll give you the first down with a 7-yard run by Kirwan Williams. I think it's way more Kirwan Williams than Corum. Corum's there in case he gets bumped up or tired.
All right. I think we both like the Patriots. Who do you like in the NFC?
I like Seattle, but I'm scared to death to say that because of Darnold. I've done enough on this show right now to tell you how nervous I am about Darnold. So we'll see if he can handle it. I saw a game I think it was the first postseason game. No, it was the last regular season game. He got disciplined. He started taking 4-yard runs rather than throwing it down there, potlucking it. And I think if he's that guy and plays that conservative, and the 17 passes last week is a little bit of that, he had other circumstances helping him. I'm going to stay with Seattle, the home field. And the other big reason I'm doing it, home field for the Seahawks, they give up 16 points a game at home. And those old Rams on the road, they're giving up 28 points a game on the road. So I don't trust the Ram defense on the road as much as I trust the Seattle defense at home.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
This not having Moulton about triples my workload. Not even with the starting five. A lot more work doing a show solo. Son of a. I will say I'm ready for these damn games. And I can forget about all of it in about an hour and 20 minutes, too. That's the good news. Not necessarily good news, but you know what I mean. I go right into tournament mode. Oh, come on now. David's a genius. He's the smartest guy I know.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Football Friday edition, Miller and Moulton. David Samson coming up. First time we've talked to David in quite a while. He's had a lot going on. We've had a lot going on. I expect David back on Monday, but if not, I don't blame him. I've joked if I were him, I'd take all of next week off until Friday. Next week, my final 4 shows for a while. I have a little health issue to take care of, so I will be leaving after the show on Thursday of next week. I get to watch the Super Bowl in the hospital. Yay! That should be fun. All right, couple of poll questions today. First and foremost, we have the 2 games. Very simply, who you got? And right now, it looks like you've got the Rams. This has been going back and forth. The Rams, 51%. It's been back and forth the whole show. New England started out with a strong, like 80+%, but more and more of you picking the Broncos. As I mentioned, home teams straight up 10-2 the last 6 years. It's been 7 years since both road teams have won. It looks like it will take the Super Bowl for me to equal David in our picks, because David and I are both taking both road teams straight up to win and laying the points with the Patriots and obviously taking them with the Rams. As David says, I don't like Denver's running game versus New England's defense. And he followed by saying, in Stafford, I trust. Rams would be hosting this game if not for a crazy fourth quarter comeback by Seattle late in the season. So those are David's picks. I gave mine earlier. I'm picking the same exact teams that David is. I'm 500 against the number on the year. David is not. We won't get to his number. But the other little sidebar thing that I've been having fun with today, and I love the grocery store. I mean, that's the other side of this. I'm a weirdo. And this isn't like an old guy thing. I've always loved the grocery store. Apparently, when I was a young child, I would do play-by-play in the grocery store while sitting in the cart thinking it was the Indy 500 and describing my mother losing the race for stopping to get something. My grandfather wrote for the local paper, had his own column for 37 years, I believe. And there are a couple of articles, one of which describes me in the grocery store as a toddler calling the race of my mom losing because she stopped to get a jar of pickles. But there are 3 things that now piss me off in the grocery store. The person that abuses the 10 and under aisle. That one doesn't bother me as much because self-checkout, I can just bypass the whole damn thing. And I use self-checkout now at every grocery store I go to. Yep. You know what? Get rid of all the employees. I'm just kidding. I want people to work. But, yeah, I'm fine with bagging my own stuff. I bring my own bags to the grocery store. So whatever. It was certainly something that my father hated. And my father had a temper. And I may have told this story on the air before. I'm pretty sure that I did. But my father had left a bar in Bonita Springs that's no longer there. Strikers, rest in peace. Those of you that been there, well, if you know, you know. And he went to Publix, and my dad never bought more than 10 items specifically for that reason. And there was a guy in front of him with all kinds of items, apparently like over 10 yogurts in and of itself. And my dad had had a couple of drinks and said something to the guy in front, and the guy told my dad to go blank himself. My dad took one of the gentleman's yogurts and smashed it in his forehead as the yogurt dripped down his face. And then my dad just left the grocery store without buying anything. I think about that and laugh every time I'm in the grocery store. And I wonder if the worker who was in the 10 and under item tells that story as much as I think about it. Because to me, it's the person behind my father in line and the person that was at the cash register that had to wonder what on God's green earth is going on. That's getting 42% of the vote, the 10 and under item abuse. Not taking the cart back, that's getting half your votes. And my latest pet peeve, the old man pet peeve, those of you that pull your cart instead of pushing it. As this gentleman says, Mark, you are not alone. Pulling your cart through the grocery store annoys the hell out of me. They always take about 3/4 of the width of the aisle. Yes, they do. That's where my pet peeve lies. By the way, I do a lot of music on the show, and I'm going to right now. I can get back into football. I mean, that was an hour of just solid, in-your-face football. Tim McKone from the Sports Hub in Boston, 2 segments with Pat. I mean, we got nitty-gritty into both games. But yesterday it was announced that the Eagles' 1976 album, their greatest hit, 71 through 75, it's the best-selling album of all time in the United States, has officially sold over 40 million units. So while I love the Big Lebowski, the dude was wrong here. I hate the blanket Eagles. No. People love the Eagles. For the record, the next album issued by the Eagles was Hotel California. It has been certified 28 times platinum. It is the 3rd best-selling album in the United States. The one that's second is the one that David Moulton stole throughout high school, Michael Jackson's Thriller, for what it's worth. So there's a little music stuff for you as we get ready for championship weekend. David and I both taking the road teams. It looks as if, as far as the vote on X, you are with us right now, but far more of you taking Seattle. The question I asked Pat, and I was curious about really a lot of the day yesterday, was whether it would be a bigger surprise to see Stafford play poorly or Stidham play well. I know they're not playing one another. I get it. But Stafford, and I know Mays had a great season, but come on. When we're ranking these quarterbacks, it's got to go Stafford, Drake May, Sam Darnold, Jarrett Stidham. I mean, that's your order of quarterbacks. So the number 1 guy playing bad or the number 4 guy playing great. And Pat said that Stafford playing poorly would surprise him more. That means he took New England. But what do we think Sean Payton will do? And Pat talked about it a lot in the first segment at the top of the hour, is that he expects that Denver will throw it a ton. That's who Sean Payton is. I had a chat, and I probably should have got him on the show, but he's not breaking down film. I talked with Mike Westhoff earlier this week, and Mike worked for Sean, and he doesn't see Sean relying on the run. That's not who Sean Payton is. So can Denver win with Stidham throwing the ball 30 times? And Mims has been terrific. Sutton's been really good. The question is, how often will they get the running backs into the mix? Where is the short pass? Is the short pass, wide receiver screens to Mims? Is the short pass traditional screen passes? Because when you look at last week, and Nix threw it 46 times, he completed 27. Now, Harvey, the running back, had 5 catches for 46 yards. They did not get much out of the tight end. Evan Ingram only had 1 catch. So you wonder, do they work the tight ends into this game? Is that a new wrinkle of how you attack New England? But Mims was terrific. 8 catches. He was targeted. I mean, he caught every catch that was thrown to him. He's targeted 8 times, caught it 8 times. 93 yards and a tutty. Sutton only had 4. Harvey had 5 catches. So when you look at Denver throwing it, how they disperse the ball, I think Sutton will have to be bigger. I think that their number one guy is going to have a big game. But there's nothing that tells you, based on how Sean Payton coaches, that you're going to see even a 50-50 split between runs and passes. I think if it's 60-40, that's about as much as you're going to see Denver run the ball. The New England run defense is really solid. How will New England defend Denver? They don't get a lot of sacks. And, Tim McKone talking about how the last 2 weeks, the New England defense has done a better job sacking the quarterback. Well, one of those games was against the Chargers. That offensive line was awful. C.J. Stroud was bad, which, by the way, quick little sidebar. Dan Orlovsky, I think, does a great job. For the record, Dan, he doesn't take our calls anymore. But before Dan got the gig, Dan's agent needed Dan to get reps, basically, in the sports talk world. We had Dan on a lot. I like him. He's very knowledgeable. He's a smart guy. He went and apologized, basically saying 31 quarterbacks would have won that game against the Patriots. C.J. Stroud lost it. And then he went back and apologized. If you're going to do this job for a living, I don't think you need to be apologizing to quarterbacks about saying what everybody else knows to be true. Is there any other? I mean, how many starters wouldn't have won that game? There's probably 31 might have been a stretch. But I think you know what we're getting at. With what that defense was able to give C.J. Stroud in the field position and not get the points. They won in spite of him against Pittsburgh. They lost because of him against New England. So with that being said, to me, Drake May has to be better. He wasn't good. He threw the touchdowns, but fumbled a bunch. He has not been good with the ball, particularly in the last game against Houston. Now, come on, that's an elite defense. I know that. But Denver's defense is right there. Denver sacks the quarterback more than any other team in the league. So Drake May's got to protect the football. Turnovers even, New England wins. I think Denver's got to be +1 at least, probably +2 to win this game. Now, we talked about the altitude throughout this, and there was a clear home field advantage for the Broncos. New England's never won in the playoffs at Denver. They've lost 2 AFC championship games against the Broncos. So will that be a factor? If I'm a Patriot fan, I'm hoping you've got a comfortable lead heading to the fourth, because Denver's not gone away. And I know it's Stidham and not Nix, but the Broncos haven't gone away all year. But I don't think I'm with David. They don't run it, period. So to think that they're going to go out and run it, 25 times for $150 doesn't make any sense based on what we've seen all year out of this team. It's not who they are. It's not who Sean Payton is. So that recipe is then going to rely on their receiving core and some screen passes to guys in the backfield. Will that be enough for Denver? What's the magic number for New England? If I told you New England only gets to 20, is that enough? Based on the over-under, it's not. They say 42.5 in the game. But if New England gets to 24, can Denver score more than 3 times in the game? And can most of them be touchdowns? The other side of that is, if New England has success moving the ball, if they are able to get a lot of punts and field position, red zone play, what is New England able to do in the red zone? Getting 7, and they did that, quite a few times in the game against the Texans, not relying on 3. Now, and we didn't really get into it, but Pat brought it up on Tuesday. The teams that won on divisional week went for it on 4th down far less than the teams that lost. So I think we have coaches that understand that going forward on fourth down isn't the answer. I don't think you'll see nearly as much of it championship weekend on a per game basis as you saw it during divisional weekend. That being said, I'll stick with the road teams. Doesn't make a lot of sense based on recent history, but I'm going to take both road teams. David's right there with me. Your vote on our poll questions right there with me as well. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Miss any of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com or anywhere that you download your podcast to pick up what you may have missed. Good chat with Pat Kirwan today. Tim McKone, really good look at the Patriots-Broncos game, particularly from the Patriots' perspective, because that's what he covers. And sure, we would have loved to have gone to Seattle or a Rams or a Broncos perspective, but when you got two Pacific time zone teams and one Mountain time zone team, and you're doing a show early morning in the Eastern time zone, well, it's not that easy. When we come back, our old friend, David Samson, will join the show. First time we've talked to David in quite some time. Looking forward to that. We'll get his thoughts on the Dodgers and picking up Tucker, a little baseball talk with David, maybe even a little football talk as well. Miller and Moulton on a Football Friday. Thanks so much for listening. The Diamond District Bonus Hour, that comes up next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
There he is. How are you, David? Uh-oh, I can't hear you, sir. I cannot hear you. Nothing. This happened with Kirwan recently, and I don't know why, but I just had Pat on this way, and it worked fine. If all else fails, I'll call. My advice would be to log off. Log off and try it again. I got nothing.
Do you hear me now?
There we go. Whatever you did fixed it.
You
there
hear
it
me
is.
now?
I got you. You got me?
I got you.
How are you, my friend?
It's so nice to see you.
Oh, you as well. You as well. You know our Twitch and YouTube audiences are here. I just always warn you, and it's been a while. But
Yes.
I know you've shared a lot. How's everything going with you and in your fight?
It's one day at a time.
Yeah, I understand.
And I am happy to see you. I'm really happy to be on with you today. And
Thanks.
So
thank you.
all I can
I
tell
have
you
to
is
tell you,
that
I don't know
think
how
about
much
you all
we'll
the time.
thank you. I won't get into it much on air, but I was told by a lot of people, and not because of you, watch the Expos Netflix documentary. I watched yesterday. Not many times do I watch a documentary and really know someone that's in the documentary. I did laugh at your first statements when you said basically they were like, you're coming to get me.
That's how it felt. They filmed for 9 hours, and it was this summer back when my life was perfect. And I thought it was a fair documentary. I thought it was compelling. I thought that it was important that I got sort of my perspective out there, and that's why I agreed to do it. And I think that I feel like they used me as like the narrator to push the story forward.
I do too. I thought it was very fair. I mean, there are obviously some Expos fans that don't like you, but at the end of the documentary, it wasn't a shot at you, if you know what I mean.
That's how I felt. And listen, if the worst that happens is there's 2 French writers who think I'm the devil, I think I did my job okay.
By the way, when you were there, did you like the city? Not that this
Love it.
baseball stuff.
Love it. I still do. And I still enjoy. I've been back several times since I left, obviously, and people remember, and that's nice. So it's more free drinks than it's not, but there's definitely people who remember. And that's in only 2 years there. I guess I made an impression that lasted a couple decades.
I was only there once. There was a league, Roller Hockey International, that said. I was a hockey play-by-play guy, and I was the voice of the Atlanta team, and we played Montreal. So I had one night out with my producer-director, and we sat at a cafe and had drinks, but I didn't really get much time to, see the sights, if you will, of the city. So I would love to go back one day.
It's worth it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District bonus hour is upon us, and we are joined, and by we I mean me, because David has the day off. We are joined by one David Samson, who's had a lot going on. He was a regular appearance on the show weekly, and that's not happening because of a lot of reasons, and we certainly miss him. I think he misses us, but we're happy to finally rejoin with David. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hello, Mark. It was not a contract dispute that we had together. It was a life dispute that happened, and I really am sad. There's just so much sadness about what's happening, but missing you for my Tuesday cadence is something I think about you and David all the time, and I just want to thank you. You guys are in touch with me, and you're supportive, and having a sick child is a nightmare of epic proportions, and having you guys in our group chat that we have is a source of a smile for me, and those smiles are hard to come by these days.
I understand that, and you know how hard we're rooting for you and for your daughter, and I'm leaning on her strength here going forward as I begin my journey in a week's time. Yesterday, the poll question or a couple of days ago, the poll question that we put up was a simple one. Are the Dodgers good for baseball? How would you answer that?
God, that's like a question of a second grader. And I say that with love, Mark, because what good for baseball? Are they good for ratings? Are they good for asset valuations? Are they good for competitive balance? We really have to dig into the details, but let's look at it sort of from the other side, if you don't mind, which is, are they bad for baseball? Are they ruining baseball? And the answer is no. It's not that them winning back-to-back World Series has all of a sudden changed what collective bargaining is going to be. It's not as though Andrew Friedman and Mark Walter and Stan Kasten have decided that they believe that what they're doing is the correct way for every team to operate. It's not that way at all. They're a very smart front office. They make good decisions, and they have enough money to cover up their mistakes. So the only thing that's really bad about it is how much jealousy that they invoke of all the other teams, and even former executives, by the way.
Well, and for the record, David and I both voted that they were not bad for baseball. For me, because I think every sport needs a villain. Every time that they go on the road, look, you ran front offices, you worried about ticket sales. If the Dodgers are coming to your ballpark, you know what? You're selling a bunch of tickets. So you're winning on that front. And in sports, and in all sports, doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it was the Lakers or Celtics when they were good. Doesn't matter if it was the Yankees, the Patriots with their run, the Chiefs with their run. People like to have at least an enemy or someone that they really root for. And I've always liked that about sports.
But I think you'd agree that if it weren't the Dodgers, it would be someone else. That's the nature of people and of fandom and of emotion. You always want an enemy. You always need an enemy. And sometimes we heard it, Michael Jordan say it in The Last Dance. He would create enemies because he needed that as fuel for his fires. So are the Dodgers the current enemy? When I was in baseball, the Yankees were known as the enemy, the big bad Yankees. And now, is it the Dodgers? Tomorrow it'll be someone else, I would imagine. So I agree with the concept, but I think it's important not to take a micro look and say, oh, the Dodgers are the current enemy, therefore what they're doing is bad for baseball.
David's reason was different than mine. He thought with what's going on, it will bring about change in the game. And David, you and I and David have talked about this a million times. A salary cap's great. A salary floor is something that 12 to 15 teams aren't even close to what it would be. So while Rob Manfred wants a cap, and there was talk of now the owners, because of the Dodgers, are on the same team with the cap, we know the players aren't. I think they should be. I think the rank and file would benefit because of the floor. But do you think we are any closer as we go into a great year of baseball, a great World Series, a lot of momentum for the sport? We all know a lockout's coming in 27. Are we any closer to the owners being on the same page?
That to me is the most important question, not the realization that owners will push for a salary cap. When you go into a CBA, you've got a list of 50 issues, and you choose like 5 of them will be the last hills that you will die on and that you will not give up on until right at the very end. And the very end can be after a lengthy work stoppage. I think salary cap is that issue. I think that the owners don't want to stop pushing for a salary cap because it will enable them to trade for other things during the course of a negotiation. So I think that the PR that you're seeing is owners pushing for a salary cap, players pushing to avoid a salary cap, and that creates the two different sides. There's a ton of negotiation that happens in the middle, and then you wait until the end for the remaining sort of 5 out of your 300 issues. So I think that's how the deal gets done.
The players are getting, I think, 47% of revenue right now. It's the lowest of the major sports. Is that the biggest issue with the players going forward?
When I first got in the game, the number was well over 50, and teams were literally going bankrupt. You cannot have a situation where your payroll is more than 50% of your revenue. And there's a lot of tweets out there, a lot of people in the media who think they know about what teams' revenue is and therefore what the payroll should be. They're very, very mistaken. They haven't been running a team. They don't know the numbers. And so you can't just look at that tweet or that graph and say, oh, that's what's happening. So for me, it's that what teams are scared of is if you pin, which is what the NBA does and what the NFL does and the NHL, if you pin a percentage of revenue, what the fights become is what is revenue. Right now, those fights happen as it relates to revenue sharing, and teams trying to hide revenue from revenue sharing. But when you're in an industry like the NFL or NBA, where it's as a percentage, it creates a whole different world of fighting that takes place. And so you have to be careful what you wish for if you're the players.
All right. The other biggest thing that's obviously affecting the sport is the demise of the regional sports network. The bankruptcy that's going on right now, the league wanting to take over teams. David, do you have an answer for this? Because I don't have a clue. I know how they were making money with the RSNs. I get it. I was someone that had no problem paying for all of my sports channels. I know that's not the majority of the population. Do you have a fix for this?
Yeah, the way the money was made is not from people like you. It was from people who don't like sports who were paying for the channels. And that's what has stopped, where a regional sports network would be included in a large bundle, and therefore they'd have a ton of money with which to give teams, because the cable platforms were giving the RSNs a ton of money to have them as an offering. When you are a la carte, which is, some people call it the skinny bundle, some people just call it, like doing your own streaming station, your own streaming network, you're only getting money from people who actually want your product. So you got to make sure your product is something that enough people want. What MLB would like is revenue that they can count on. That's really what's changed, Mark, is that we would sign a 10-year deal with our RSN, and we would think there's no way in the world that that revenue was subject to change or a decrease. So we would sign players. We would make capital investments. We would build a ballpark. When that huge revenue stream becomes uncertain, all of a sudden, you don't want fixed costs. I just want to mention one thing in the real world. When you run your household or your life, you want as few fixed costs as possible in case there's a problem with your revenue. You want variable expenses that you can cut if you need to make cuts. If you have a fixed cost, like a guaranteed contract, there's nothing you can do about it. So you have to be careful. And teams are realizing that without guaranteed broadcast revenue, they have to be careful. How does it change? It changes by going the NFL route, by making more national games, by making it a national TV product that's shared amongst the 30, eventually 32 teams, by shortening the regular season, by creating more games during the regular season that matter to broadcasters, like the NBA in-season cup, like the NHL Four Nations, like the NFL going international. You need to have more games like the Field of Dreams game that draws money from broadcasters.
And by the way, that's why expansion's great. And I worked at the minor league level where leagues just, we're going to add 2 teams and all the owners make money. That's not guaranteed. That's not money that goes on forever. It's a one-time hit, and it's great for owners, but it's not anything that they can rely upon going forward. So 30 to 32 is going to happen, but it doesn't do anything long-term for the sport. Now,
you're right. It pays off debt, Mark. That's the reason for expansion. You take the expansion fee and you're going to pay down franchise debt.
But now, because the national game is one thing, but baseball's not watched nationally anymore. So how do you create this revenue without trying to get the Yes Network and Nesson and the big boys who are making all the money to give some of that money? I don't know if it's back or included in the national money that's able to be gained by the teams.
Yeah, just so you know, in the real world, it's just the Dodgers who have that guaranteed TV revenue stream. Yes Network, Nesson, Masson, all those networks, they're in the crapper. They are not printing money the way they used to. They are not worth the money that they used to be worth. The teams don't own a huge share of those networks anymore the way they used to. They've brought on partners and finance partners in order to cash out. Take a look at how much of Yes Network the Yankees actually own and how much money they've already taken out of that asset that they started. So it's not exactly what people are saying. I think you get 29 teams easily. But the funny part is you only need 23 to do anything. You really only need 23. That's the voting number in baseball. 23-7 gets you a CBA. 23-7 can get you an 8-inning game, frankly.
He's David Samson. Nothing Personal is the award-winning podcast. We've got about a minute left. Anything you want to get off your chest, sir?
Yeah, I do. I want to tell you that you are a beacon of strength, and that I am proud to work with you and know you, and you've been there for me and your audience. You've built a loyalty and a dedication, and you got to lean on them. I've leaned on my audience tremendously during these past 4 months and will continue to do so. The amount of grace they show and love they feel, it's a strange thing because they're strangers in many ways, and you're talking into a void like I do every day. But just know, Mark, they're there and holding your hand every step of the way, and I couldn't be more proud to be your friend.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate it. It's been a bit overwhelming. There's no doubt about it these past few days since I've let the audience know, and I know you did the same thing with your audience, and they've been great. I hope we talk soon, my friend.
I promise, and I'll be thinking about you every day, and that's not hyperbole. I mean it, Mark.
He's David Samson. The podcast is Nothing Personal. He also appears on the Le Batard Show, and he, like all of our guests, appear on the American Paint Supply hotlines. American Paint Supply is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. It's all still ahead here on Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton. Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton. Football Friday edition. David's off today. I am expecting him back on Monday. But like anything else, there are no guarantees. You never know. He may say, screw it. Work 4 more days by yourself. And then I'll be back. We've got poll questions today. 2 of them are really easy. They're about the games. The Rams in Seattle, you guys are pretty much split right down the middle on the NFC Championship game. But over 2/3 of you right now taking New England. But the most important question that I've asked today has to do with grocery shopping. One of my favorite things to do. Yeah, I'm weird. I like to cook too, so I like to grocery shop. You know, I'm like Bill Parcells. I don't want to, I don't want someone else shopping for me. I want to get the groceries. So what bothers you the most? The 10 and under aisle with someone with a bunch in it, not taking the cart back, or people who pull the cart instead of pushing the cart? No one's really voting for that but me. But not taking the cart back bothers you, and I've laughed my tail off. Some of the people in the Twitch chat room or YouTube chat room are like, yep, I do that. I'm one of those. And I don't think today's going to change any of you of what you do and don't do. But a couple of comments that were made. Joe on X said people that pull their shopping carts instead of pushing them are the same people that blow out birthday candles one at a time. Another texter says, This is one of those, they go all over the place. Here we go. Several texts. They come in at like 4 of them. But with you on all of them, but leaving the cart really pisses me off. Also, the person that goes to the self-checkout with their cart overflowing is just as bad as the 10 and under. But that being said, my vote is the lazy people who leave the cart. Now, because I also shop at Aldi, which is mostly self-checkout, I don't have an issue if you go to the self-checkout with a bunch of stuff. Now, you could be kind if you have a cart full of stuff and the guy in front of you, or guy behind you rather, has 2 or 3 things, and you say, why don't you go ahead of me? But that one, you go to self-checkout, you go to self-checkout. There's several of them. You're going to get your spot. But neither here nor there, having some fun with that. Great to catch up with David Samson. He got me at the end. I wasn't expecting that. So I miss David. We miss him on the show. We know you as an audience miss him. And hopefully soon that we'll start having David regularly once again. But I thought, you've heard David and I talk about the lockout. Obviously, David Samson's been on the inside. And I will tell all of you, I could have done 45 minutes with David just on the Expos. If you have a moment, the Netflix documentary on the Expos and them leaving Montreal, David Samson was running that team. Jeffrey Loria brought him on when he bought the team, and David Samson is featured throughout that documentary. I talked to him before we were on air about it briefly, and I'll just reiterate what he said. It's that he thought at the end of the day it was fair, that he thought he kind of helped narrate the documentary, and he thought the way that they showed him was fair. Because at the start, he thought they were coming to get him, and he did 9 hours of interviews for what's I think it's a 68-minute documentary, of which he's on for 8 to 10 minutes, if you will. But it's very good. If you're a baseball fan, particularly of that time, it's well done. You certainly get all the stories behind the history of that team, the history of Montreal baseball. It's a very well done documentary, and I recommend it highly. And for that record, since I am going to be gone, I'll take all the documentary recommendations you want to throw at me the next week, because I will have time on my hands. Still some coaching vacancies out there. Apparently, Mike McDaniel is interviewing for the Bills job today. Now, he is planning on becoming the OC of the Chargers if he's not hired for a head coaching job. But he met with the Chargers on Tuesday, and it came to be expected that he's taking that OC job. A deal has not been finalized. Dull fan right now. If he goes to the Bills, are you going to laugh all weekend long? Because I know I will. Now, is that just picking his brain, or do they really think he's the guy to lead that team? And if you're a Buffalo fan, did you just drive off the side of the road when I gave you that news? He interviewed for the Cleveland job. He's interviewed for the Vegas opening. He has not, by anything that I have read, interviewed for either the Steelers or the Arizona Cardinal job. But the Athletic, Diana Rossini, she's as dialed in as anybody in the sport. Diana Rossini reporting that Mike McDaniel is interviewing for the Bills head coaching job today. So that news, I think that kind of hit me between the eyes, as we have the Raiders job, the Steelers job, the Bills job, the Cardinals job, and the Cleveland job all still open. Those are the 5 jobs remaining. Stefanski to the Falcons, the Hafley to the Dolphins. Obviously, Harbaugh taking the Giants job, Mentor taking the job with the Ravens, and who the hell am I forgetting? I'm missing one. It'll come to me in a second. But 5 jobs still open, as coaching vacancies will be filled here in the next couple of days. I think I have a feeling we'll get one Maybe get one today, maybe not, because it doesn't look like, Arizona, they've not a lot of news there. Pittsburgh's still interviewing guys. The Bills just starting their process. The Browns don't seem to be anywhere. They haven't even fulfilled the Rooney Rule yet. And the Raiders have done some interviewing. So I would expect we'll have, a lot of these perhaps next week, in the week off before Super Bowl week. And the Titans, that's the one I didn't mention, Robert Saleh getting the Titans job. So those 5 are filled, 5 still open. Dolphins yesterday, getting their job taken care of and announcing in the presser. The new brain trust of the Dolphins, Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan. This was John Eric Sullivan yesterday talking about the quarterback position.
I mean, obviously, that's a huge question looming over the organization. I'd be naive to think that everybody doesn't understand that. I have a lot of respect for Tua. He's a good football player. He's accomplished a lot in this league. I think whether it's Tua or anybody else, it's unfair and irresponsible for me to sit up here and talk about anything specific before I've talked to the player himself. Quarterback is the most important position in professional sports. I also think it's the most dependent. These guys heard me say this in the interview process. We will evaluate that position like we evaluate every other position, and we will do what is best for this football team.
So there's Sullivan on the quarterback position. Hafley, when he closed, talked directly to Dolphins.
To the fans, this is a storied organization, one of the best in all sports, and you deserve a winner. You guys deserve a winner. And I am going to do everything in my power to bring you guys that. I am so proud to be here, and I cannot wait to get started.
So there's a little bit yesterday from the Dolphins presser. Hey, winning the presser doesn't mean squadoosh. It doesn't. But I thought it went really very well for the 2 new brain trusts of the Miami Dolphins. That was a good day. Now, the work begins. So what happens going forward? But the Bills interviewing McDaniel for their head coaching job, that one blows me away. I'm shocked by that. But after listening to Terry Pagula in the press conference, how can you be shocked by anything? Seems they want to get someone for Josh Allen. I don't necessarily think he is the right guy. We'll find out in due time with the 5 openings. I would expect by next Friday, we'll have a good idea who's taking what job. Today was a day when the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap. It's how we finish things out during the Diamond District Bonus Hour. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332516.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yes, it is, Sonny. 1 tonight, the potential for, what did I say, 6 tomorrow, but we will see because the lines aren't out. Potential for 6 tomorrow. Let me see. Is that right? 6 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 potential tomorrow. Might only be 5, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas ended up being favored over Georgia at home. Thanks, Javier. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Well, the voiceover guy lied. At some point, we may have to pay him to do individual opens, which the problem then lies that without me here, they'll never get on air. But I've learned that I had to figure out how to do some of my work from a remote computer, which I think I can accomplish. We'll figure that out in the next couple of weeks. So obviously, David off today. Like I said, he's expected to be back Monday. David and I, for the record, picking the same two teams and laying and taking the points. We're both taking the Patriots, laying the 4.5. Both taking the Rams, getting the 2.5. Not smart. Home teams 10-2 straight up the last 6 years, championship weekend. So we will see how things turn out this Sunday, 3 and 6:30, CBS and Fox.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
All right. Probably should have the glasses on so I could read what the hell I have here. We go way back today. Haven't gone this far back in a long time. 1368. The Ming Dynasty rule over China that lasts for 3 centuries begins as the new emperor accedes to the throne. Zhu Yaozhang at 40 years old. I think I got that name right. And if I didn't, how do you know? Georgetown, the first U.S. Catholic college, founded today in 1789. I think they immediately played St. John's and hoop. Elizabeth Blackwell, today in 1849, becomes the first woman in the U.S. to earn a medical degree. She did so from New York's Geneva Medical College. The first bridge over the Mississippi River in what is now Minneapolis opens. It was today in 1855. It was known as the Father Louis Hennepin Bridge. Wish David was here just for this one, because the most lopsided score in an NHL game happened today in 1944. The Red Wings 15, the Rangers 0. An NFL rule changes an open way for 2 platoon system for offense and defense in 1950. Today in 53, the Texans became the Baltimore Colts. They're now the Indianapolis Colts. Today in 1957, the Whammo Company acquires the rights to the Pluto Platter. It was a flying disc toy from inventor Walter Morrison. They rename it the Frisbee as a nod to the Frisbee Pie Company, whose empty tins were tossed by Yale University students in the 1930s. Today in 71, UCLA loses to Notre Dame. They would win their next 88 in a row. And nearly 3 years later, on January the 19th, 1974, they would finally lose. It would be against Notre Dame. Today in 73, Nixon announces an accord has been reached to end the Vietnam War. 1975, one of the most underrated shows in television history. The Barney Miller Show premieres on ABC. If you want an explanation for why Gen X kids raised themselves and are proud of it now that we're all old, it may have come today, because today in 1976, the results of U.S. Advice columnist Ann Lander's question, which was, if they could do it all over again, would parents still become parents, states that 70% of 10,000 responding parents were negative about being parents. For those of you young enough not to remember, there was a commercial at 10 o'clock at night. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Roots premiered today on ABC in 1977. Islander great Mike Bossy, I think one of the most underrated players in NHL history, becomes the first to score 50 goals in 50 games. He did so in 1981. The A-Team premiered on NBC today in 83. That same day, on a wet, muddy field, the Dolphins beat the Jets 14-0 in the AFC Championship game. No proper drainage at the OB, and torrential rains made it a very muddy field. The Hulkster, today at 84, becomes the first wrestler to escape the camel clutch, the signature move of reigning WWF champion, the Iron Sheik. And he would defeat the Sheik to win his first title at Madison Square Garden. I don't go wrestling often, but when I do, it's something special. Today in 86, the inaugural class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Chuck Berry, James Brown, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, Fats Domino, the Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly, Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis Presley, Little Richard, Robert Johnson, Jimmy Rogers, Jimmy Yancey, Alan Freed, John Hammond, and Sam Phillips. Klay Thompson. Remember him? I know he's still playing. But today in 2015, he scores an NBA record 37 points in one quarter and would hit 9 threes in that quarter as Golden State defeated Sacramento 126-101. And the 13-second game today in 2022. Gabe Davis would have 4 touchdowns for the Bills, but the Chiefs would win 42-36, changing overtime rules. John Hancock, the first guy that signed the Declaration of Independence, and Myron Cope, the voice of the Steelers and the man responsible for the terrible towel, would have both celebrated birthdays today. Chelsea Sullenberger, the pilot, Sully, he's 75. Quarterback and USC former AD Pat Hayden, he's 72. So is Robin Zander, lead singer of Cheap Trick. Brendan Shanahan is 57. Hall of Fame 7, Kevin Moe is 55. Tiffany Thiessen, 51. She was the mean one on 90210 and the cute one on Saved by the Bell. Turned into kind of the dirty hot one by 90210, didn't she? She's 51. And Cape Coral resident and UFC great Tito Ortiz is 50 years old today.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, yesterday when I was doing this, the good story was going to be the bad story. But apparently it's been saved. The 50th Naples St. Patrick's Day Parade was canceled yesterday because of security and barricade costs rising in 1 year from $24,000 to $42,000. But former Naples council member Gary Price basically said that ain't going to happen. His son, who passed away recently, was a big fan of parades. His son, who was born with a rare lung disease, was told by doctors he would live 5 years. But he lived 28, and he loved parades and participated in 15 of them while his dad was a councilman. So Dad, saving the parade. Quick sidebar, when John and David and I, John Cassio, our original producer and still a great help to the show, we're working together in this building. John loved all Naples parades, loved everything Naples. He's a Naples kid. And an East Naples kid. He's a Lely kid, not a Naples High kid. If you're from here, you know there's a difference. Well, he got us in that parade. And through one of our listeners, got us a golf cart. And somehow, some way, One, I was between wives, for the record, but somehow hooked us up with the Hooters girls. And John and I and the Hooters girls, while having a couple of beverages, took that parade by storm many years ago. We think it was the proudest moment of that little station. For the bad, we go to Fort Myers, where a man was arrested Tuesday following a 2-year financial crimes investigation by the Fort Myers Police Department. Benton Reinhardt was embezzling from lots of people. He acted as a money mule in a Microsoft tech support scam that targeted victims not only in the United States, but in Canada and in Australia, resulting in the theft of hundreds of thousands of dollars. He faces a litany of charges. And finally, the ugly. We stay in Florida and go to 7-Eleven. In a story that's actually, it's not funny, but it is. There's just no two ways about it, because the guy's a jerk, and he's also, you could name a lot of other things. But a rather fat young man came running in to a 7-Eleven, demanding that a video of him be deleted. The fatty, wearing his Harry Potter Gryffindor shirt, starts yelling at the store clerk, demanding that they delete a prior video of him when he was acting a fool of himself and using racist slurs. So he then grabbed a thing of candy and threatened to throw it at the two employees. He then wasted $1.50 by destroying it on the floor, and then dropped an N-bomb at the two employees. I give the employees all the credit in the world. When you watch the video, not only do they not get upset about this jerk throwing racial slurs at them, they laughed in his face and basically told him he wasn't going to do anything. And you can hear them as he leaves the store. First they say, "You're not going to touch me." And then when he says the things that he says, you can hear her saying, "You got problems for real." Yes, he does. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, Friday, January the 23rd, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Hiring new officers, other jobs available. Great pay, great bonuses. All information can be found at capecops.com. That's capecops.com. NBA tonight, Rockets and Pistons. That's a pretty good one. Pistons are a 3.5-point favorite. Nuggets taking on Milwaukee on the road. The Bucks have been horrible lately. Other than that, not a lot of great games. Maybe the Celtics on the road in Brooklyn, but I don't see the Celtics having any problem there. NHL tonight, Lightning on the road taking on the Blackhawks. Vegas and Toronto, that's a pretty solid game. Colorado hosts Philly. Devils are in Vancouver, and the Rangers are at San Jose among the games. One system play tonight in college hoop. St. Louis on the road against the Bonnies. St. Louis is an 8.5-point favorite. The 24th ranked Billikens on the road at St. Bonaventure, laying 8.5. The other game between among ranked teams, Michigan at home, they're a 15.5-point favorite against the Buckeyes. Tomorrow, we could have six system plays. The lines won't come out until the morning. But Clemson, 18th on the road at Georgia Tech. Vandy, 15th on the road at Mississippi State. Undefeated Nebraska, 7th in the country on the road at Minnesota. 21st ranked Georgia at Texas. You got to find the clips from Coach Sean Miller at Texas talking about his team fouling everybody. Couldn't play the clip because I'd have to bleep out some stuff, but it's fantastic. Let's see, Iowa State, number 9 in the country on the road at Oklahoma State, and Kansas, number 19, they're on the road at Kansas State tomorrow. Illinois at Purdue in a game among ranked teams, and Houston at Texas Tech, also 2 ranked teams in that. North Carolina and Virginia, 22nd ranked North Carolina at 14th ranked Virginia. Those are the college basketball games among ranked teams. Obviously, It's one of our last football Sundays of the year. Championship weekend, 3 and 6:30. Patriots and Broncos. For the record, Miller and Moulton both taking the road team, both laying the 4.5 points that you'll need to lay with the Patriots. The line opened at 5.5. It's been bet down a point. The Patriots have never won a playoff game in Denver. They're 0-4. Rams and Seahawks. They split the season series, 1 point separating them. In fact, 2 points separating their last 4 games. Miller and Moulton both taking the 2.5 points and taking the Rams outright to win. Monday, we'll find out who's in the Super Bowl. Championship weekend. Enjoy the games. An Overreaction Monday coming up. Enjoy your weekend. We'll do it all over again Monday morning, Miller and Moulton.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, Ajapi, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers, 24/7. This is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
This is Miller and Moulton,